I think we're
I'll crack
live.
my
It
neck
says
with
we're
you.
live. Yeah.
All right, we're live. That's
Oh,
great.
yeah. I am stiff. That was a rough night of trying to sleep.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I
You
went to
felt
bed.
terrible all night.
Oh man. Well, I woke up. I felt okay. Streamed late yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
and also I'm like, man, I just feel so warm. Went to check my temp. I was 102,
Ooh,
and I was like, that's a little warm. So I
that's
finished my
pretty warm, yeah.
stream. Yeah. Finished my stream, and then I was like, okay, I'm gonna go take some Tylenol and lay down, and it just like kept hanging there. 102, 102 and a half all day. Muscle cramps. And finally, like, I went to bed, woke up in the middle of the night. I'm like, I feel better. Checked my temp, and it was finally at 100. I was like, that's way better.
That's way better.
I like 100 better than 102 and a half.
Yes.
It's almost at that like, should I actually just go get the COVID test from the drive-through, or should I
Right.
just listen to my doctor who said it's most likely just a flu?
Mm-hmm.
You don't have any of the other things. So everyone, this is Dan. This is Dan from
Hey
Slice
guys.
Engineering. There's Dan, there's Chris, there's Shauna, there's Max. There's a bunch of people from Slice, but this is Dan. This is the OG. This is one of the originators, the half of Team Dan and Chris.
Yeah.
Not this Chris. Should
No,
probably
no
change my
other
name
Chris.
from Angry Work Hockey to my normal name. Uh, this is from doing my other streams.
It's
Save.
funny. We there's so many Chris's in
Yeah.
3D printing.
Chris
It's kind of
Riley,
crazy.
WFO writers a Chris. Chris
Yeah.
Freeze. It's a popular name. I
Yeah.
mean,
I just didn't
you know,
realize how popular it was until getting into 3D printing,
yeah, it hasn't
and
died out like
everybody's
names
a
like
Chris.
Chad. Like no one's named Chad anymore. Like
Yeah.
there's a few of them.
Right. But probably a lot less than Chris's.
Yeah, yeah. It's the other CH name. It's the best CH name you got there.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
So, question, Chris's, if something's, yours, do you put the apostrophe and an S, or you just put the apostrophe?
Oh man, that's tough. I don't ever. I don't think I do either.
Hmm.
I just say this is mine. Try to rephrase the sentence so it doesn't have to have an apostrophe. Oh man. Okay, so this is a little bit different. This isn't a on the hotbed, so we're not going to grill you with random fact questions and stuff. But we're going to talk about some new product stuff that you have on the market and how it
Hmm.
works and why it does it and why it's cool and why if you should use it. I have a test vial of some of it here. The first thing is that new uh, nozzle. Mine just says release agent for nozzles, but you have a cool thing for this now, right? If I go
Yeah,
to
it's
your
now
website.
called plastic repellent paint.
See?
Yeah. We decided nozzle release agent wasn't a great product name. Not that plastic repellent paint is super sexy, but it's it's better than nozzle release agent.
Yeah, so if we go on the website here, plastic repellent paint trademark. You trademark the name plastic repellent
Yeah,
paint.
man, you got to trademark everything because otherwise it ends up on Alibaba in like 2 days,
Yeah,
and they
this is true.
just they just steal the copyright straight off your website. They just copy paste, and
And they
you're like,
steal the pictures and everything.
yeah, they just take it all, and you're like, well, that's super annoying. At least rewrite the sentence.
Yeah,
So
should have called it Venom. There we
Venom,
go.
I like that actually.
Nozzle Venom.
That would be great. That's a
See,
good
now we got
name.
to redo it.
Yeah,
Got to redo it. Oh, not me, not we, you.
yeah, right,
I'm not
right.
the other
Venom.
Chris from Slice Engineering. So
Yeah.
we all have bought nozzles. I guess basically to summarize this on my end to make it easier for the people who aren't brain scientists. Um, you buy these brass nozzles, and they get gross after a while. They get covered in filament and grossness, and they bake on there, and it doesn't come off. Like they're like, oh, you can just heat that thing to like 400 degrees and it'll come off. I'm like, nope, it just becomes more carbon. Like I have nozzles. I have nozzles that have nonstick coatings. This is the nozzle X. It's stuck on there. Here's a micro Swiss nozzle. It is supposed to be nonstick. It is nozzle junk stuck on it. Here's a Bondtech I was testing. It's just a plain brass nozzle. Filament is caked on there. Doesn't come off. I can chip at it like with a hammer and then put more scratches in it and make it worse. Because a lot of the techniques are grab a brass bristle brush and while the nozzle's hot, scrape it with a brass bristle, and all it does is add more grooves. and
Right.
microabrasions to your nozzle, which just makes it more likely for things to stick to it. So that's the opposite of what we want to do. And what did you
Anyways,
guys make? You
tools
made
steal a
this
little
thing.
rust.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah.
what did we what is this stuff? What did we make here?
So that is a PTFE nano suspension. So yeah, I guess you could sniff it. You probably don't want to like drink it or anything. Definitely don't drink it.
Yeah.
But anyway, so the idea is, obviously PTFE Teflon is a nonstick thing. So there's little itty bitty nano particles of PTFE suspended in water in that vial,
So
and
it's
what
an
it
aqueous
does,
solution.
it is an aqueous solution. That's right.
Yes.
So so when you brush it on with we sell it with a little brush
I
top
just dunked
applicator
mine.
thing. Yeah, dunking works fine too. Yeah, actually, I prefer to dunk because it's
It's like
just
an
faster
Oreo
than
thing.
brushing. Yeah, it's like, yeah, exactly, like dunking your Oreo in milk.
Yeah.
It has sort of a milky color.
Yeah.
Um,
Just don't eat it.
so yeah, you can dunk it in there, and then it cures within, I don't know, 30 to 60 seconds, depending on air temperature and humidity and things like that. And then you put it on your printer, and it keeps plastic from adhering. It works really, really, really well.
Yeah. It's an anti-PEI. Yes. PEI makes things stick.
Yeah. Yes, this is the anti-PEI, exactly.
I let
So
go of it into the vial.
it's a similar formulation to what's on your frying pans,
Yeah. Yeah.
essentially.
Yeah.
Uh,
Teflon. Everyone has it.
yeah.
Like I have the granite pan. I'm a granite pan
Okay.
man.
Wow. Fancy.
Yeah. That was actually the best nonstick pan you'll ever buy.
Nice.
Just throwing that out there for the world if you're ever going to buy cooking utensils and stuff. So you just don't do what I did and drop it in there. Now my whole nozzle is completely PTFE. That's cool. Let that sit for a while. Let that bake.
We have had some people express concerns about, essentially micro vaporization of the PTFE particles.
Yeah.
And it's about the decomposition rate. Of course,
Yep.
any organic molecule is going to have a decomposition rate as you heat
Yes.
it, right? And PTFE is no different. So it will have a decomposition rate based on temperature, and it's very similar again to what's on your pan. So, and thankfully, because the surface area of a nozzle is super, super small, you're getting very, very tiny amounts of PTFE baking off there, and it decomposes into mostly carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide. So
not
it's
the
pretty.
neurotoxins we're used to with the PTFE tubes.
Yes, exactly. So it's a different formulation than what you're going to see in a PTFE tube, and I think that's
Yeah.
where the main concern came from. Is that
Yep.
there's a lot of people there was an issue with PTFE tubes breaking down and causing neurotoxin release, and so this is a different formulation from that. And
Yeah, and that's always been kind of the ugly step cousin of 3D printing is
right,
you buy your Creality, Anycubic, any of the printers with the Bowden tube, and they've got like the world's cheapest PTFE tube in there. You can even order some Capricorn, which says it's good to 200 and something degrees, but it still off gases at the regular 250s,
right,
260s.
yeah. It'll actually
this is
PTFE
different.
will start off gassing at 204, and but it's just going to be less than what you're going to off gas at higher temperatures. So at 250,
wow.
you get a little bit more of an off gassing. And that's sort of
don't own birds and 3D print kids.
yeah. We joked about it's a terrible joke, so please don't take this seriously. We joked about getting like a canary and seeing how much PTFE, like the canary in the coal mine thing.
Yep.
Seeing how much PTFE we could bake off in the fume hood before something happened. But obviously, we're not going to do that. We don't believe in animal cruelty.
There's a tool for that. There's a little air.
Yes, there are tools for that.
Oh God, there's a name for it. I was going to order one too. It's just that a good one's a little bit more expensive. It's like a air particle measuring tool. I'll tell you how much particles coming out. So you can literally go,
Yeah.
all right, there's like 10 particles without the printer running, and with the printer
Right.
just sitting there on, this is how many particles. So you have to guess that. I don't have one with an electro, not electro, but um, one of those fancy encephalograph, the things that can tell me what the chemical is, but I can
Yes.
just see that there's particles.
Right.
Yeah, it's bad. It's bad.
Yeah, it is. And I saw David Randolph was on here a little bit ago, and he's got those great filtration systems now.
Yeah, the BOFAs.
That
That's what's
yeah, the
on this
BOFA
guy.
systems. Hey, there you go.
It's right
Yeah,
back
so
there.
those are really good.
Yeah,
Um,
VOC detector.
VOC detector. There we go. Yeah. So anyway, the for those concerned about the PTFE, it's about 3 orders of magnitude less coming off than what's going to come off from just your printer printing PLA.
Yeah.
So it's essentially like a rounding error in terms of what's coming off of your printer. So
Yeah. So
yeah.
you guys took safety into consideration. You made sure
Yes.
you're not going to sell someone a something that's going to pass out neurotoxins while you're printing the entire
Right.
time.
Exactly. Yeah.
And the nozzle paint is good for 290C before it
It is.
completely degrades, which is
Mhm.
fine for nozzle changes. Like most of us with a all metal hot ender nozzle changing at 270, 275.
Right.
We really shouldn't, like, a lot of people don't know, if you own a V6, you shouldn't be printing above 280 anyway, because that aluminum block expands and the nozzle starts loosening. And they don't warn you about that. It's actually not rated beyond 285C, so you won't have to worry about your V6 ever having to get to 290, because you're not supposed to be printing at 290 anyway. Just throwing that out
If
there
you
for the
are,
world.
get one of those BOFA filters and a few other things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you if it does like any coating, it is going to sort of wear off after a
Yep.
while. So, but it's
And
easy to
definitely
reapply.
don't use this thing, right?
Yeah, don't use that thing. Yeah,
Because what I did
don't
was
use
I
the
put one on the
brush.
Zerabo. So I put a Bondtech. So Bondtech makes nozzles, if you guys don't know. Bondtech
Yeah.
finally makes really well machined nozzles, and I picked up 2.4s. This was a 0.8 that I just opened up and put. I'm not going to use it anytime soon, but that one has a 0.4, and Purple has a 0.4. This one has no magic coating. This one has super anti-stick slice coating. And I haven't been able to really test it because I haven't really been down here much. It's actually been busy for me. So I'll be able to have a final conclusion. I've been using it for a while. Like, this has been on here for, I don't, whenever I finish putting that printer together, I end up printing in 0.8 nozzle for a while. Then I swapped it to that 0.4 with the nozzle paint, and it's just been printing nonstop since. And I haven't had to clean it.
That's good.
So,
that's the
yeah.
point.
Yeah, and it's still like, again, like, it's still going to get dirty. You're still going to get some filament build up, and just don't go in there with this. I've always been, that's why I always have this microfiber cloth. It's always like microfiber cloth, little dab of water, wipe it, call it a day when I'm cleaning my nozzle while it's still warm, not hot.
Warm. Yeah.
Yeah, warm.
Yeah, we use we have a knowledge base now. It took us a little while to get up and running, but we've got a knowledge base on our website, and we've got an article about cleaning nozzles, and we use cotton swabs. We have like stacks of cotton swabs in the office for cleaning things, and
I have those
so
too. I just end up with a lot of cotton fibers on them, so I've always liked these. Amazon sells these, like a 24 pack of these really crappy sheet, microfiber cloths for like $10.
Nice.
So that's what I used to wipe down all my printers with anyway. So there's always one somewhere over here in Printerland. If not under a printer, on the floor, or on top of a printer, there's a cloth to clean it with. So
that's great.
That's cool. So you're bringing a technology that's already on your nozzles. So your vanadium nozzles already have a different coating, but it's
a different coating. Yeah,
it's basically an anti-filament coating. That's less likely to come off. Again, I still don't recommend using scrapey tools to clean your anti-stick nozzles, because they will no longer become anti-stick after a while. I'm actually starting to go away from having this damn brass nozzle. That's why it's over here and not over in the printer area. I use this thing to clean contacts and stuff with. So
nice. It's perfect for contacts.
It is, well, not eye contacts, but
not eye contacts. Yes,
copper that would contacts, be traces,
very abrasive.
All the printers the same enclosure. Oh wow, they're all talking BOFAs now in there. So I'll have to get Dave on here for some dev talk on BOFA
for sure
filters. It's actually really nice. I'm one of those people that get major headaches with ABS printing. So ABS, ASA, what is the other one that was? I can't remember. Some other random thing I was
Polycarb or
printing with.
something?
I never had an issue with polycarbonate,
Okay.
but I never printed much of it, so I don't know. But like, I just turn the printer on with ABS, and I don't even have to smell it, and I'll be somewhere down here, and I'll have a headache. If I go upstairs, I'm fine. What's up, Kyle Davis? Thank you for the $5. That's going to go towards the
Nice.
taco fund, or actually more Tylenol, my fever reducer. But yeah, I mean, it's you know, cool to see that you guys have brought something that's easy to add, and you get a huge amount of it. I mean, you're
Yeah.
putting on literally,
It's like a lifetime supply.
yeah. I mean, it's kind of like your this is my original Slice Engineering
Boron nitride paste.
boron nitride paste, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I still have a bunch of it left, and I'm not your regular kid. I have probably put together 50 to 60 hot ends with this one tube.
Nice.
And here's another tube, and you guys included one with the copperhead. So there's probably another tube in a box somewhere down here. So I have a world's supply of boron nitride paste.
That's great.
So people are like, $9, but yeah, but I've built like 100 hot ends, and
Yeah, unless you have an explosion with it, it'll last for a long time.
that's the only thing I got to say. The injector likes to it's like it won't come out, and then all of a sudden, oh, I got a big
Yeah,
bead.
it can be a little you get it's vapor lock actually is what happens. So because of the water in there, sometimes it gets a little hard to push out, and then if you overdo it, it's just like
Yeah.
So
I just build more hot ends. Like in this box, this drawer over here, I've just got boxes of built hot ends because I break shit. There's also a recommendation. If you ever don't want to waste time fixing hot ends, just have extra hot ends ready. You know, there's extra mosquitoes in there. I got a copperhead here in case one of the copperheads goes down. It's just ready to go with the attachment on it, so I can just slide it on. Always got to think. Always got to think. Is there any other uses for this?
Asked a question about affecting the nozzle diameter with the PTFE paint. I'm scrolling back to try and find it. I saw it sort of flash by.
Yeah.
It won't affect the diameter in any appreciable way. It's like it's extremely thin. So it's
why buy one hot end when 3 will do? Exactly, Dave.
Yeah.
Is there any other use for this? Can I put this, like, if I spray it on my bed, could I keep it, like, trick someone, like pour it on their hot bed? And then why won't anything stick to my bed?
That'd be a terrible prank, but it would work. It would most definitely work.
I can't think of any other. I mean, someone I think asked about putting it on the silicone socks.
You could do that too. Yeah, you could do that too. We definitely put it on hot blocks. We put it on both the hot block and on the nozzles, and it really helps a lot. Yeah, especially on that bottom surface.
Yeah, the
where
closest
stuff
to the nozzle
tends to like curl up, you know, especially if you're pausing or whatever, the filament will tend to curl up.
Or if you got the crappy old filament that pops and sizzles and.
Yeah, then you need to dry it.
When you scrape it enough with that brass bristle brush, I mean, it's just gross. It's they don't come clean. They tell you it'll come clean. It doesn't come clean. Even the copper. This is one of the. Maybe I get a little less shine out of it. Let me get bigger. Bigger. Oh yeah, it's so shiny.
There's the focus.
That's the copper block from E3D, and it is not nonstick. Especially with carbon fiber CF, because carbon fiber CF just turns to charcoal.
Yeah, it does.
It's on the block for too long. So
yeah, get a bunch of carbon left over.
Yep. Yeah. I learned my lesson. If you want to keep your hot ends clean, don't print carbon fiber. So, and again, I've tried there's a lot of nozzles that have nonstick coating. So again, I've Micro Swiss, the coating doesn't last very long. The Nozzle X, it lasts a while, but again, it doesn't last a very long time. Again, most of these are because, you know, I run stupid filament. This is just a E3D copper nozzle, regular Bondtech nozzle. It's cool the color change that it gets when you put this PTFE coating on there. It turns a little hazy.
Yeah, it's like a slightly, I don't know, it's The SDS safety data sheet says it's milky in color. So yeah, milky in
Because it went
appearance.
from, I don't know if I can show this on camera very easily. So both of these were the same color. You can see that the one to the left side of the screen is a little silvery looking than the other
Yeah.
coppery one. So you can tell it's on there.
Which is good. It's a good thing.
Heck yeah. Oh, I gotta look at David's question. Would it be a good idea to coat thermistors and heaters before installing to make them easier to get out later? Ooh.
So for that, we'd recommend boron nitride paste instead.
That's what I've been doing.
Yeah, that is also a release agent, so it can make things easier to get out. If those do get stuck in there, we have a printable file on our website that is we call it the heater unseater, and it's just like a little printable. I don't know how to describe it. It's like a mini wrench, I guess, and if you just squeeze on the sides, it'll pop the heater out. So
I mean, you don't use the technique of one of these and then
and a hammer,
makeshift hammer, and just go pop, pop, pop.
That kind of tends to reduce the life of your heater.
Oh,
but
well,
it is functional.
Yeah. Normally, what I did was on the old V6 days was just because I hated using the copper blocks after a while because they were everything that you would put in there would get jammed in there for life.
It could stay forever. Yeah,
because everything would expand differently. So eventually, you had an overexpanded heater cartridge that in the copper block would never wear out. It would just stay the same size. Now with the aluminum block, I would just stick a screwdriver in there and then twist it till the aluminum would spread out wide enough I can pull out the heater cartridge. I don't recommend that. You might fix that aluminum block, but
it's gonna require more force.
Yeah, well, so that's your spiel, guys. So basically what they've done is put PTFE in an aqueous solution. It dries really quickly. I mean, this nozzle's been, it's dry. You can tell physically through your vision that it has changed color. And for my testing, it is cleaner. Now, again, this isn't like a miracle drug where it's never not going to get dirty. Vanadium nozzles, Nozzle X's, they get dirty and they have fancy coatings on them. It's way better than not.
Right.
Don't want to hype you guys up that your nozzle will never, ever, ever get dirty ever again. Try printing carbon fiber CF, and I will tell you that every nozzle that says it's anti-coating will eventually it will stick on. It's just carbon. I mean, once
it's carbon.
Once carbon carbonizes, it's like glue, like cement. And the only tools for taking that off is literally going. I'm going to sit here and chisel you with sharp tools until you crap off.
Or a file or sandpaper or something. Yeah.
Now,
but it does really help. We put that on all of our nozzles at the office have that stuff on them now. It really does help a lot.
Now, would you put them on your nozzles that already have coatings?
We will. Yeah. We'll put them. All of our nozzles have a coating of some kind. So yeah, we put them on top of the other coating. Absolutely.
Nice. So another thing, speaking of nozzles and coatings, let me grab my little bag here. You guys have new nozzles that you silently launched.
We do. Yeah, we do.
They might look a lot like these things.
Yeah, except shorter, actually.
Oh, you don't have the long ones?
We don't have the long ones. Yeah, we decided not to do that.
Oh, no volcano length ones. That makes me sad because I have all these volcano length hot ends now from when I was testing these fancy nozzles. So what can you tell us about these really heavy nozzles that look a lot like a vanadium nozzle but aren't?
Yeah, so those are called Bridgemaster, and it's
are they on your website? Can I look at this? Is it on the website?
They are not on the website yet. Okay. They will be soon. Yeah, we launched them with Lulzbot essentially. So Lulzbot announced recently that they're going to be using the Mosquito and a Bondtech BMG for a new tool head.
Yep.
And that tool head's going to come with our new Bridgemaster nozzle. So it's a copper nozzle, and it has a anti-abrasion coating on it that can extend the life quite a bit. So yeah. You got to test a bunch of those.
Yeah. I don't know if this camera will show it if I turn it. can I turn it? Did I lock it? I did lock it. Hold on. Let me unlock my camera. So, oh, yeah, okay. So if you look, there's a tower that goes all the way to the ground of Atomic CF-PETG, and I printed that to test these nozzles, and I think I did 10 kilograms of CF-PETG through each of your nozzles. And remind you, these are copper nozzles, not hardened. They don't say that they're good for hardened use as much as a vanadium, but I got 10 kilograms through each nozzle. So yeah, there's 20 spools right there. So 20 kilograms through these fancy copper nozzles, and it printed great. So I mean, I got to use regular print temperatures to print actual carbon fiber material, which was insane. Like I was getting really nice glossy prints where I'd always get kind of more of a matte finish with it, or a semi-gloss finish. It was kind of interesting, and it actually printed better than, let's say, using a hardened nozzle, because again, the thermal capabilities of copper just transfer that heat better.
Just so much better.
And like when you get that cooling fan, it's not cooling at the tip of the nozzle as much, because like you can't measure that nozzle. A lot of people are like, thermistor says I'm doing fine, but the thermistor's here and the nozzle's here. So what's actually at that very tip of the nozzle is going to be very different than what the thermistor says.
Yeah,
for the most part. I mean, it's going to be close, but
but a few degrees makes a difference in what we're doing, the kind of stuff we're doing. So yeah, the name Bridgemaster comes from the idea that you should get improved bridging performance, because you can get that cooling airstream going right on at the tip of the nozzle, but still maintain the temperatures that you need to with the copper. And the big downside to a copper nozzle or a brass nozzle is that you abrade it really fast, especially if you're printing carbon fiber. So this is sort of the glow.
This is definitely not a glow nozzle.
Destroys it. No, it's not a glow nozzle. I'd prefer. I would recommend the vanadium nozzles for glow filament.
Yeah, because
I
think Chris bought some glow to run through it, because he was asking me like what I was testing, and I just Atomic CF.
Right.
Now, Atomic CF has a lower carbon fiber content than most of your 9-to-5 style CF filaments, and that's actually the good thing, because it prints better, and it's you actually lose layer adhesion with these like eSun CF-PETGs and Prilines and all these other brands that make CF-PETG. They pump so much CF in there that it looks really sexy when it prints, because it's like matte, but then you have layer adhesion of crap. Like they don't want to bond because there's so much CF, which makes them more abrasive. So CF-PETG from Atomic is a little less abrasive. So my 10 is probably because I'm using a much lower. They use like a 15%.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think it's 15%. Yeah. And I think normal's about 20, and then you can get some that are up in like the 30 range.
Yeah, which to me seems silly. Like, why would you?
Yeah, it depends on the application. Yeah. It depends on
I can see with like Peak or Ultem, because those layer adhesions are insane. Like
they are. Yeah.
You're not going to be able to like make Peak and Ultem not bond well.
Again, depends on the application. If you're trying to get like medical, we've got some clients that do medical device stuff with Peak, and for them layer adhesion is huge, because it's the difference between somebody's like implant working or not, which is kind of a big deal.
So I don't think they want carbon fiber Peak in their body anyway. So.
No, they don't. They don't want carbon fiber.
Why am I itchy on the inside at all times?
So there are some sometimes where that the layer adhesion is really, really a big deal for like a functional application.
Oh yeah. So now you have a nozzle, and I like the Bridgemaster name. So like in photography, there's a camera called the Bridge camera. It's basically a point and shoot camera with a longer lens on it, like almost like a fancy digital SLR with a zoom lens on it, but it still has a smaller sensor. So it's that bridge between owning like the high-end $3,000 camera and not having a point and shoot. You get that bridge. So Bridgemaster to me just sounds like you've bridged the gap between, well, I want something that can, on occasion, print something a little more abrasive, but prints normal stuff really, really well.
Right.
And prints stuff that has to be printed hot really, really well. And it can do abrasive. Just don't do the glow, guys. That's
right. Yeah. Don't
if y'all know what's in glow, you definitely don't want to shove that through your nozzle too much.
Yeah.
Justin, that was me who did the thumbs down. I always thumbs down my own video. That way I can start it off,
Oh, there you go.
And Vapor Master, you can put a charcoal filter back there, but you need more than that. So even with a charcoal filter, I'm still going to get a headache because you need a lot of charcoal filter to block out all of the vapor and all the fume. It might smell better. I'm still going to get a headache from whatever that styrene fume is because that's what always gets me.
Yeah.
Like I never like going to the country style backyard barbecues where they're like, let's have a burn pit, and I'm like, why are there styrofoam containers and like random boxes and like and I'm over here like dying, and everyone's like, this is great. I'm like, I have a headache. Did you really have to throw in the styrofoam cooler in there? Like, it burns so good. Like, no, it doesn't. Like,
yeah, thankfully we have access to a fume hood because we do a lot of testing with like HIPS, which is just tons of styrene.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that stuff that'll give me an instant headache if I have to smell that. It's just like, whoa, what's going on?
They don't
Rotting
talk
my
about
brain
that
right
for
now.
3D printing people. They're like, hey guys, this is safe, and you're like, no, it's not. My head hurts.
Yeah.
I can sit here and I can smell all of the. Like, I can open up a bottle of any of those resin containers, and I'm fine.
Mm-hmm.
Someone has ABS going, like a room next to me. I'm just like, someone shoot me. Nothing's making this go away. So we've got paint, we got nozzles.
Yeah.
What else do we have? Like, I know you guys did these finally released the heat breaks, the bimetallic heat breaks, which thermally are amazing. You also have a nonstick coating on these as well.
We do, yeah.
And then you've the darker coating. That's the nickel clad.
That is a tungsten coating, actually.
Tungsten coating, got it.
Yep. Yeah, that's the same. The stuff on the heat breaks is the same stuff that we put on the vanadium nozzles.
Yep. So
it's an anti-abrasive coating that also helps a little bit with stick.
Yep.
So it sort of does both.
Well, the inside's very smooth.
That's good. I hope so.
I was comparing this with another heat break that I had, and I was like, wow, this is actually smooth. Now, of course, we don't want a perfectly mirror finish smooth inside, but you guys got that like really nice smooth internal geometry in there, which because you guys do a rolled cold steel tube.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's cold work.
So it's all perfect basically when it's done anyway. Man.
Yeah.
How have these been doing? You guys have been getting a lot of feedback on these guys?
Yeah, those are selling really well, quite well. We've been pretty excited about how those are moving.
Hemera one?
That's a good question. So the Hemera is a little bit more difficult because the heat break is not monolithic. It's an assembly.
Yep.
And so we need the copper to be a certain thickness for that assembly process to work right. And the Hemera uses an M4 instead of an M6 thread on the upper part. It is a lot
thinner.
It's yeah. So we're gonna have to figure out a way to make that work. We get tons of questions. That's like the number one question in terms of like the next heat break for the Copperhead is for the Hemera. So we're looking at when does it make sense to do that. We have some other things in the pipeline that are going to come first, but at some point we'd like to do that.
It's such a thin heat break. Like until I got one, I didn't realize just how thin that entire assembly was. I'm like, wow, that is a tiny heat break. Very scary thin heat break. Like I've already broken plenty of regular heat breaks. I'm like, how was this thing just not folding under the strength of my burly man hands? It didn't, thankfully, because I really would like to keep all of the things I test in one piece for as long as I can.
Right.
I do prefer things to stay together. Titanium is good too. I've tested titanium, but the only issue with titanium is it doesn't transfer the heat well. So where it keeps the cold zone cold, it doesn't keep anything else hot. So you get lower temperatures in the actual heater, the hot area. The hot area is cooler than it should be because it's drawing so much away. so I found that the advantages to titanium is actually more of a myth. Where sure, the cold zone stays cold because that the ability for it to transfer the heat away from itself and cool and stay cool is amazing. But that also means it's a shitty conductor of heat, so it doesn't you don't get that heat transfer. So your hot zone is actually cooler. So when I did my internal heat break tests, like I was comparing uh, the Mosquito versus a V6 versus a V6 with a titanium versus I also shoved the thermocouple into the nozzle to see what the actual nozzle temp was to see how close everything was. And when you have the titanium heat break, the internal temperature of the nozzle is cooler. It's just drawing more heat away. And it's not like a lot, it's like 1 or 2 C. It's not a big difference, but it just shows that the only thing it's doing good is keeping the cold zone cold. Everything else is worse. It's not good at giving up heat to the heat sink, and it's not good at taking heat from the heater block and melting the filament in the hot zone. So you get uh, uh, just diminishing returns. For what you get that's a positive, you get negatives that you won't even think of. And I actually did another test, and that sealed the deal. I put a 10,000 RPM fan on a V6 with a titanium heat break, and the nozzle would clog constantly because it wasn't able to get the heat to because the cold zone kept growing into the hot block. So the hot block would just like I would take this thing whole apart, and there's like a giant chunk of cold filament in the entire heat break. So titanium heat breaks are a myth. Well, they're not a myth. If you have a knock to a fan, get yourself a titanium heat break, or even better, something that actually has technology in it, which is a bimetallic, which makes sense. Yeah,
composites. People came up with composites, a long time ago because you get the strengths of two different materials, and so that's essentially what we're doing.
Yeah.
So the bimetallic heat break is copper on the upper section and the lower section, and then they are connected. The two copper parts are connected by a cold worked stainless steel. So stainless has a pretty low conductivity, and that allows us, but because we're cold working it, which allows us, it bumps the strength quite a bit. That allows us to use a very thin tube. So then you have a very thin tube that has a low conductivity, where with some very high conductivity parts on the upper and lower sections, and that allows you to disperse heat well and through the heat sink, as well as maintain uniform temperatures in the hot block. So the idea is you keep, just like Chris was saying, you keep the hot section hot and the cold section cold. Yep. And that's really what it is. It's what it does.
Heat sink can draw cold from copper faster than it can from titanium, and your hot end can heat the copper better and more uniformly and faster because it can absorb heat, and it actually has a higher thermal capacity. So titanium has a poor thermal capacity, so it can absorb heat just fine. It takes longer, and it won't sustain that temperature, so it's just constantly stealing that heat. Yeah, Dr. John. And again, I didn't know that was going to happen either. It's just this weird thing. So I'm like, oh man, I was testing fans, and I'm like, I'm going to get this Mechatronics 10,000 RPM hot end fan to cool the hot end. And I'm like, let's see if this thing helps. And I just kept getting clogs, like constant. I was like, what in the hell is going on? And finally, I took that off and put a regular 6,000 RPM fan on, or 5,000. I can't remember what I put on there, and it worked fine. So then I bought an 8,000 RPM fan and tried that, and it didn't clog. 10,000 clog. I was like, okay, there's a limit to how fast your fan should be. Not to mention the 10,000 RPM fan sounds like loud as heck. Like a 10,000 RPM 4040 sounds insane.
Yeah, that's a lot of air moving in a very small space.
Yeah, that is a lot. I was actually getting a lot more back pressure from it. I actually learned that with the Mosquito too. Like, because it's so easy for air to push through, I was putting these. I'm so used to taking these higher RPM fans on for my E3D V6s. When I put them on my Mosquitoes, they weren't really doing anything besides cooling it more than it really needed to be. So I actually use a more conservative 5,000 or 6,000 RPM fan versus like an 8,000 or something ridiculous that I was starting to buy for my V6s. Because if you don't know, kids, always buy a fan for the size of the hot end. When the manufacturer tells you it needs a 30 millimeter fan, it's not because they're silly. They did it because that's what they tested it for. So static pressure is a very important ingredient to your cooling. When are you guys gonna make a hot end for the Prusa Mini? Boy, I think the only like input for me is the Prusa Mini's firmware is very hard locked. So I know there's a mod so you can put the Mosquito on there, and I think there's a mod as well to put a Copperhead on there.
There is, yeah.
And as long as there isn't any changes in dimension, it should be fine. But if you change the dimension in any way, shape, or form, there's going to be a problem, because you can't, unless you get a signed variant copy of Prusa's firmware, which they haven't done any yet, but they're willing to. Like, if a manufacturer goes, I want to put this Diggy Dongy on your Prusa Mini, they are willing to work with any manufacturer to make a signed firmware, so that way, again, if you didn't know, the hardware is locked on a Prusa. There's a little appendix, so if you try to edit the firmware and install it, it's going to be like, I don't work, because it signs itself. So if it's an unsigned firmware, it won't work unless you break that little appendix on your board. So manufacturers are probably a little more weary about going, let's make something for the Prusa Mini, than not. But I don't know, Dan. What do you got on that? What is your thoughts on the Prusa Mini?
We've had several people design adapters for the Prusa Mini that, like you said, use the Copperhead or the Mosquito. So that would be what we would recommend, is that the Copperhead, depending on how you spec it out, you can get it for relatively very inexpensive. And so yeah, if your Prusa Mini and you is not working how you want it to, I'd highly recommend doing a Copperhead swap with one of the printable adapters that you can stick on there.
No.
So, yeah.
Uh-oh, Justin's asking the hard stuff.
Okay.
They want you to have those silicone socks, man.
Yeah, I know. People want a sock. Yes. So last year at IRF, we had some prototype socks that we made, and they worked relatively well. The major concern was sort of held us back from making one is that we have a lot of customers that are doing industrial things with their Mosquito or Copperhead and running up into the 300°C range. And so the concern is that somebody's going to light their silicone sock on fire by taking it way too hot.
Yeah.
So I think when we do build one, we will eventually make a sock, I think, for both of them. But when we do build it, it's going to come with like a card that says, "Don't burn your house down, please."
I've seen a couple ring heater hot ends.
There are a few out there. Mm-hmm. We actually looked at a ring heater for the Copperhead. So, yeah, we looked at that. We just found that the benefits sort of didn't quite make sense for us based on our ecosystem. Like, it just didn't fit the rest of what we were doing to switch to a ring heater. But if you had a ring heater, there's some ring heaters that you can buy that are integrated with a block. And so if you had one of those, you could, use a Copperhead heat break, for example, and probably get some pretty good performance out of it.
I like
yeah.
it.
Yeah. The nice thing is, so, the benefit of the ring heater is that you are supposed to get more uniform heating. But what we found in our testing was that when you're using the copper block, which all of our blocks are copper, you get already such a uniform heat distribution across the whole block that we didn't really benefit from having the ring heater. So
how do I lose a tool that's on my desk normally?
Water cooling. So yeah, we've been getting a lot of questions about water cooling. We've had if you want a water cooled hot end, just send us a message to support@sliceengineering.com.
Yeah, because you guys have.
That's all I'll say about that.
Somewhere.
Maybe somewhere.
Oh yeah, there we go. What are the difference between the Mosquitoes and Copperheads and?
Okay, yeah. So There are two versions of the Mosquito, the standard version and the Magnum. The Magnum is a higher flow version that is the same size as the Mosquito, but has a longer melt zone. So that's sort of our, um, top of the line model is the Magnum. And then the Copperhead is a little bit more modular in the sense that it fits a wider variety of printers. It's a little more budget friendly, I guess, but still using a lot of the technology that we developed on the Mosquito, we brought to the Copperhead. So it's sort of a similar to like what Tesla did with coming out the Model S first, and then they came out the Model 3 later because they used the stuff they learned from the Model S to come out with the Model 3. That's essentially what we did with the Mosquito and the Copperhead. So the Copperhead is still rated at the same temperatures, so you can get those higher grade engineering filaments if you wanted to.
Still goes to 350 if you want it.
450.
450 if you want it.
450, yeah. Which
You can't say
covers
they're crazy numbers.
yeah, that covers every printable thermoplastic that is commercially available right now. And we've done some that are a little bit even hotter than that with some research partners, but those are pretty unique applications.
Oh, the one thing I love the most about my Mosquito.
Yeah, so one of the reasons that the Mosquito's price is higher is because there's so many parts to assemble. So if you look at, for example, Copperhead, you've got like 3 parts, and so that means you only need to make 3 parts. And the assemblies, well, we ship the Copperhead in separate pieces and let the user assemble it. Whereas the Mosquito is a fully assembled unit. So that's what essentially is what drove the decision. We wanted to make something that was more easily accessible, and so that's what drove the existence of the Copperhead in general. And so we needed to do that. We had to make some sacrifices.
Ooh, that's not a bad idea. So a keyed heat block, so that would kind of stay in place. That's kind of an interesting idea. Never thought about that.
Mr. Grubby Zebra, if you could maybe, what do you mean? Like, what would be the benefit of a keyed hot block?
Well, I guess he's kind of meaning like, it's got a slot where, like, let's say this block would have like a little peg that sticks out, and you just, and it would be a one-handed tool chain, so it'd still be one piece of copper.
Okay. All right. So yeah, I'm following you now.
Now, one of the things with thermals is to not have anything blocking this area.
Right. Yeah. So the key would have to be in the top section. So one of the reasons that we did the collar on the heatsink is that it allows you to orient the hot block in any direction. So if you had a key, that would be difficult to do. It's an interesting idea.
Yeah, you would do it in the heat block, the actual
heatsink. Yeah,
heatsink would have the key, and you'd have like a notch in the.
Mm-hmm.
But then, like, one of the benefits is you can turn this any direction you want.
Right.
So you lose some things when you key it, because then you have to go. Everyone has to have it in this orientation, or else.
Right. Yeah. So one of the things about making it as accessible as possible for different printers is to allow rotation in different directions so that you can install it. We also, that same heat break that fits into the Copperhead heatsink is also used for the Raise 3D Pro 2. And so we tried to make every heat break work for multiple different machines. It's a good question. Which setup is lighter? So a little bit depends on how you spec it, but generally the Mosquito is going to be the lightest. It's the lightest tiny setup that you can get. Yeah,
so tiny.
It's very tiny. I think it's 41 grams.
Oh, you don't think? Come on now, who doesn't want a 90C enclosure with 100C capable motors and yeah.
It's not for the high temperature printing certainly isn't for everybody, but I've mentioned a couple times on the call that we've got customers that do work in those kind of temperature zones, and so we obviously are trying to cover allow them to get as much capability as they can out of their machine. And then if all you're printing is PLA, you can benefit too. So.
I want to see a heat block holder. Oh, come on, Dave. Everybody wants one hand. Like once you gave us one-handed nozzle changes, I think anything that doesn't give us one-handed nozzle changes is like
we spoiled everybody.
Come on, bro.
So the reason the Copperhead hot block is shaped how it is, it has wrench flats on the front.
Yeah.
So it allows you to grab on without worrying about smashing your wires, your heater and sensor wires. So that was sort of the compromise that we made to allow for an easier nozzle change, but without doing the one-handed thing.
Anyone's trying to figure out what that is.
Yeah, maybe it's a lot easier to show.
It's got a raised or a notched out section where you can just easily take a wrench and go, that's the part I'm going to hold on to.
Yeah.
And if it would focus, there we go. There's your thermistor and heater cartridge, and you're nowhere near it. So, and you can hold it all sorts of different ways. But
David wants a wrench with the Slice logo on it. That's true. Maybe we should. We've got our torque nozzle wrench, nozzle torque wrench. There we go. There it is.
It's an OG one. It just says 1.5 and it has your logo on it.
Yeah.
This one, of course, has a 7mm socket on it. How many millimeters is that to use on a? Oh, what? How many? That is a good question. How many millimeters is that if there was a fixed?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't actually know that dimension off the top of my head.
Maybe if I grabbed the right block, I could tell you. 12.1. Let me zero this thing.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, a little over 12 millimeters. Just like a hair over 12 millimeters. Do I have any actual wrenches here? I just have crescent wrenches. Crescent wrenches. Crescent wrenches. I am ready to change nozzles. There's crescent wrenches.
You got 3 different crescent wrenches.
Oh yeah,
that are all the same size.
Yep. Yep. There's one. I usually have here's 2. Where's my other ones? There's usually here's this. So I'm always ready for a nozzle change. One has a 6mm, one has a 7mm.
Nice.
Like there's always. Oh yeah, here's another one. 7mm. Yeah. So I got 3 crescent wrenches, 3 sockets, and a Slice Engineering torque wrench. I'm ready to go.
You are very ready to change some nozzles.
Yeah, well, I don't do it as much because most of my hot ends have now converted. So only ones that don't are the Volcano Hemera and Volcano Bear, because I was testing your giant nozzle, so I had to build printers that had a Volcano. So I can put these giant nozzles on it. So I was like, I guess I'm trying this out, and it worked out fine. I like having the high flow,
it's nice to have some high flow units.
Well, now everything's high flow. Everything's either a Magnum or a Volcano sitting back here. So
nice.
I want a wrench with I want some Jesse wrenches. Let's see.
Hey, there you
go. Ooh.
So the vanadium nozzles will fit our hot blocks. So what you could do is if you were working on the Pro 2, you would just get that section. So you'd get the hot block, the heat break, and then it'll fit, because Raise 3D has their own nozzles that don't fit anybody else's. So if you wanted to use 6mm M6 nozzles, you could switch to the copper block and heat break, and that really changes that printer, the Pro 2.
Wish that torque wrench was with a bit. Oh, it didn't come with a bit? I thought mine came with a 6mm bit.
So it's 6mm natively, or
right.
1/4 inch, and then if you want to change 7mm nozzle, you can get a bit.
Yeah, which I ordered a case of bits. Where did I put them? So this is what happens when you own a drawer full of tools. They might even be upstairs because I had to fix something with them. Yeah, I just bought like a whole set, so I have everything from some ridiculous millimeters to another ridiculous millimeters.
L3D says Mosquito Magnum's going into a Stratasys. Awesome. I would love to see pictures of that.
Yeah, especially
We've
since I think that would
we've done
void
that
every
once.
Stratasys warranty in the world.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, we've done that once for an older Stratasys, but
You still got to buy their damn spools of filament with their
you
chips
do.
in it. Well,
Yeah,
there's other brands that
you
make.
do.
3D Tech makes chip spools.
Hmm.
You
Yeah, those
guys,
machines are really interesting. They heat the chamber super hot,
yeah.
like way hotter than what you would expect, just to print things like ABS or PLA. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, my buddy has one at work, and he goes, "Wow, it prints like crap, but it always works."
The newer machines print really well, really well. We've worked with some guys that do like print farms that have just Stratasys machines,
Mhm.
which ends up being a very expensive print farm. But
Yeah.
if you're printing for,
They need a lot of this stuff.
yes, they do need a lot of that stuff. But if you're printing for like NASA, then you need to
You print for
have
NASA,
the right stuff.
you just need like 5 Prusas.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you could totally do that. Probably not.
Uh-oh. Mr. Monkey says, "Hi, Dan.
Hey, how's it going, Jordan?
Will Pro 2 heat break work in the Raise 3D N2?"
It will not, unfortunately. The N2 has this weird, I think it's a hexagonal shape to it. So we haven't quite figured out how to make it fit. Any more Kickstarters? Kickstarter was way harder than we expected.
Yeah. Especially
it
right
was
before COVID.
Yeah. So just probably COVID really just put a bad taste in my mouth for it because we were trying to deliver everything right as COVID was happening, and yeah. So I don't know. Maybe someday. We got so much flack from people that were like, "You guys are a big company." I'm like, "I just got out of my garage. What are you talking about?" So anyway,
Dude, you could have made something in your basement and they still would have said, "God, you guys are rich."
yeah.
The internet hate is an interesting place because no one's willing to understand the reality. They've already kind of what is that word called? What is the thing that everyone is using now? And I love this phrase. It's confirmation bias. They've
Oh,
already
yeah.
heard from someone that may not be a credible source that this is going on, but they believe it because someone said it. So
Right.
and they're not willing to look it up. They're just he said it, so it's got to be right. Oh, of
Yeah.
course. Okay, good. You sir, go do your thing. I will never be. Yeah, COVID does put a bad taste in everyone's mouth. It
Yeah,
was
it's
rough
true,
because you guys
Justin.
just
Yeah.
had a successful Kickstarter, and then you're like, all right, production. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, it was tough. Thankfully, we've got our own machine shop. Well, we work with a machine shop in the U.S. here exclusively, and so true.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my
Yeah.
favorite Kickstarter. Like, they yelled at you, right? But the majority were not yelling at Creality for this. I'm like,
Yeah.
Creality has probably millions upon millions of dollars in resources and can pump out a printer with absolutely no new features from the last one, just change the name and they'll sell. And then what's worse is they finish the Kickstarter and instead of shipping it to the people in order, they're like, we're shipping it by country.
I didn't know that part.
Oh yeah. So USA got all theirs first because it's just cheaper for us to ship an entire
Yeah,
container
a container.
to
Yeah, for sure.
than it
Yeah.
is for us to ship like one by one by one by one. I was like, oh, so you discounted it so far that you couldn't actually ship these things.
Yeah.
Because I was like, these prices are ridiculously cheap, and so like now people that like the 3 people in Denmark are waiting for their shipment still, I think,
Mhm.
and I'm just like, oh, because like there's early birders didn't get their early birds because they have to wait for every other country
Right, to get their
to get
stuff.
their product. Like, then it's not an early bird. Like,
Mhm.
what?
Yeah.
Dan isn't
Sure.
rich?
Yeah. Maybe someday.
Come on, that's
Probably not.
not a
Not in
Hunter
3D
fan.
printing.
Bro's got one of those Home Depot fans up there. Look at that.
Yeah, man. That's actually a builder special.
Yeah, see?
So not even Home Depot.
You can always tell the quality of a man's house pocketbook by the quality of his fan in his house.
There you go.
I have no
Yeah.
idea. I have an unfinished concrete wall behind me. You can tell what I'm doing down here.
Yeah. Well, it
Um,
is a basement, so it's more fitting
yeah, I
to
was supposed to
not be
redo this
finished.
year. I kind of
Oh,
went.
good.
I've seen
Yeah.
Creality financials. They make more than me and Dan combined in quarter one than we do in a year. Oh.
I'm sure that's true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and like Chris is saying here, it's haters gonna hate, but it's tough to stay on top. Like, it's not a market that is like you look at other markets like cell phones. When cell phones first came out, it was like every other phone was like this leap and bound. Look at phones now; it's
Mhm.
like, all right, we gave you another zero point 0.1 millimeters of phone space, and oh yeah, it can open up more tabs because we put in like 1 gig more RAM. Like, okay, like again, technology is stunted a bit. But when you look at 3D printing, there isn't a ceiling yet. It just
No,
who's
not
willing to
anywhere
put the
close.
time and effort into it and will people buy it? Because
Right.
I'm guessing you guys, if you had, I mean, you could take all your resources, make literally the world's best hot end, and it would probably be like $500, and people would be like, I ain't buying that. And then in 10 years, when that technology comes down and that's the hot end that comes up, like, oh, well, we had it. Y'all just didn't want to spend the $500 on it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, you got to balance with market pressure.
Oh yeah.
What
Market
people are
pressure
willing to
is
pay
is
for.
interesting. The 3D printing market, like again, look at filament. There's like 500 filament manufacturers. They're all around the same price. They all make the exact same product for the most part. I mean, it's really hard to say your PLA is better than the next guy's PLA. Now, is it more consistent? Does it have less stuff that will clog my nozzles in it? Will it be more in true? Will it have less ovality? Those are things that we can actually look at. So like
Mhm.
you look at like Dave's Jesse PLA. $20 for a kilogram of USA made PLA is freaking ridiculously cheap.
It is. And it
He's
prints really well.
and it prints great.
Mhm.
Like I mean it
There you go.
I mean it prints it, and then you've got other brands, unnamed. There might be boxes of them down here that are $35 for a 750 gram, and it doesn't print any better than this. And it's actually less in spec than this, but it's got a name. But nobody's trying to make better PLA. They'll be like, well, now we got PLA plus. Okay, so you added an additive to it, and now you put a plus on it. It still prints the same and has higher impact resistance, which nobody really cares about because 99% of everyone is printing this. They're not printing. I don't have any practical prints. My speakers that I printed are over there. My Polymate speakers are over there. I was like, oh, where's my poly? Oh wait, yeah, yeah. So here's my Polymate speakers. So no,
I was
not
about to
very
say,
many
last
people.
time we talked, you had something practical.
Yeah, I did for once. Like I normally don't have practical prints. Like hey, look, I got a speaker that I printed.
Yeah,
Um, that isn't the norm in the majority of 3D printing world.
right.
So do we need a PLA plus? No, right, we don't. You got PETG.
Mhm.
But I don't want to print PETG stringy. No, it's not. Change your settings. Yeah, I just proved my own point for sure. Most of us aren't printing practical things. And the things I'm one of these fanboys that like I will print like I love Punisher the movie. It was great. Comics are great. I'm gonna print Punisher. I watched the Muppets as a kid, so I printed freaking Kermit the Frog. Am
Nice.
I printing stuff from my house? Yes. Do I have pen holders and like do I have things to hold my
That's a pretty
tools
cool
in?
pen holder.
Oh, dude, yeah. It's that Matt
I like
Forge,
that one.
Matt PLA.
Yeah, I
Oh
love
yeah,
that the pattern too. That's cool.
yeah. The Veroni or whatever. I forget what it
Yeah,
is.
Voronoi.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
it's again, it's like what do we do we need a $500 hot end for people who are doing that? No. Now for people printing Peak and Ultim, you can probably get away with a $500 hot
yeah.
end because those guys
Or
are pretty
super high flow
serious.
stuff, right?
Oh
If you're
yeah.
looking at uh, people printing stuff for the Navy, that's like something that's going on a ship. That's yeah.
They do that?
You need. Oh yeah,
Man, we need a
yeah.
day of like what crazy thing because I know they print what is that? Was it Audi that 3D printed or Lexus that 3D printed their transmission? So now it's like a lot more accurate because they could do things in the printing.
I hadn't heard that one. Porsche just printed some carbon ceramic brake calipers, which is
What?
pretty nutty. Yeah. Yeah. It was I think it went on the GT3 or something. With some crazy Porsche.
Yeah, the things that they're adding, because I know Chrysler does some things. We have the local Chrysler plant here, and they're like, yeah, there's some things 3D printed on there, and you know, it's like the technology is getting there, and it's getting to be the point like, oh yeah, I can make stuff that there's no way to manufacture. Because a lot of people are like, why
Absolutely.
doesn't Prusa injection mold all their parts? Well, you can't injection mold half those parts. Like the
Right. Not
shapes
easily.
and intricacies,
Yeah.
it would be in
Yeah.
multi parts, or it definitely wouldn't be, and they'd have to redo it. David, the best thing is Jesse's statues. Yeah. What? Jesse statues.
Hey, there you go.
Mosquito high flow, or I guess Mosquito
Magnum.
Magnum with 0.8 millimeter nozzle printed at like 60 millimeters per second.
Looks really good.
With fat layers, 0.6 high, 0.8 wide. Not bad. You lose a little bit of the detail. Like there's Dave's face. It definitely, you can still see that it's a face. It's not as sharp. I don't have a regular Jesse. Oh yeah, I do. I just grab random things I printed with my Mosquito Magnums. Yeah, so that's what it normally would look like. If it focuses, focus on it.
Focus. There it is. All right.
So still, there's no tungsten carbide nozzle, right?
No.
And that was
That's
a
an
price
interesting
thing, right?
one.
Because I have one. I have a tungsten carbide nozzle. This was
Yeah.
from China. They
Yeah.
do work.
Machining
Machining is a little off.
Machining is very difficult with tungsten carbide.
Yeah, because you have to sinter the whole thing, right? You basically have to like use a
I'm
laser.
honestly not sure how they're doing it.
You need
There's
to
a
talk
couple
to my
different
boys
ways.
at Midwest Tungsten out in Illinois here.
Mhm.
They said they could do it, but they're like,
Right.
I don't think anyone would buy it. It's just gonna be too expensive. I'm like,
Right.
it's gonna be one nozzle that you literally can say will last a lifetime.
Yeah.
Unless you're printing tungsten carbide through it.
Which, man,
There
we
is
talked to
tungsten
somebody
nozzle.
recently.
Tungsten
Yeah,
filament.
tungsten is not the same as tungsten carbide. Just to clear that up,
Yeah.
just right now, different things, totally different things. But yeah, we talked to somebody recently that was printing a lot of metals, and that was pretty cool. Pretty cool application. So they're using vanadium now.
See, and it works. I have a few of them. I'm counting. Yep, I have a few of them running. Also, because all these damn carbon fiber prints to make. Damn you, carbon fiber. So anything else? What else, you guys? Anything else on the way? Anything else
on the way? Well, before I answer that question, I saw somebody said something earlier about drying filament. So yes, please dry your filament.
Yeah.
We had a support request the other day, and David just said something about his face being messed up from all the customer support questions. So we had a support question the other day where a guy thought that he had just installed a Mosquito, and he thought his printer was lighting on fire. So it was like smoking. So we're like, oh my gosh, somehow this guy shorted his printer out while installing the thermistor. Or we don't know what's going on. So we're like trying to call the guy. Eventually, he sends us a video, and it's steam, because his filament was so wet that when he turned on the printer, there was steam coming out, and of course, it's a different color. So FYI, steam is a different color than smoke. So yeah, super glad that there was no smoking going on from the printer, and there was no shorts or anything. But yeah, dry your filament. Definitely dry all your filament.
I've smoked a few printers.
You let the smoke out?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Nice.
I'm not llama on expertise on that, but I definitely have a reputation for testing things till it reaches their limit.
Yeah.
Justin, Justin, you literally set your printer on fire because your connector was welded. Yeah, a lot of people don't remember the original Prusa hotbeds when they shipped on the Mark III. They soldered the two wires on non-silicone wire, So the bed movement would eventually break down at the connectors, and all of a sudden you
Okay.
get fire on the back of
Right.
your Mark III bed.
That's not good.
No,
Definitely
they
not
fixed
good.
that. They remedied that very quickly. Like now
I'm
they ship
sure.
with
Yeah.
crimp-on connectors that are on
Mhm.
silicone wire that are meant to be moved.
Right.
Man,
That's funny. Yeah, we've been doing a ton of testing recently, pushing the limits of flow rate,
yeah.
and yeah, we've burned out some drivers, burned up some power supplies, so we've let some smoke out recently, which is, it's always it makes for an interesting day.
He had nicks in his bed. That's weird. Because you'd think the PEI would keep it, unless he had one side of a metal sheet that wasn't coated with something. But it's still bad. Yeah. So the Magnum is 30 something cubic millimeters per second.
Yeah, we've tested up to like 38 with
Yeah.
Sort of regular settings,
Yeah.
I guess you would say. Um, yeah, and so you can push it higher than that if you're cheating, I guess. Like if you use
Yeah.
HIPS, for example, which flows differently than PLA or PGG.
Yeah.
You can crank up the temperature much hotter, for example. So there's a few things that you can do to push flow rate higher, but in terms of like normal settings, you can about max out at around 38 cubic millimeters a second. And we're actually going to publish a white paper soon on flow rate testing.
Nice.
So that'll be I'm really excited about that. We've been doing a lot of work on flow rate. So.
Any 500 millimeter per second test videos on that are only going 200 millimeters per second, but I mean they say 500.
We're going to try and refrain from making claims we can't back up.
Oh boy, haven't put that hot end on a printer yet. I'm literally just gonna hit feed printer filament at 100 millimeters per second and see if it even does that. So it's not that hard to test flow rate. It really isn't. Literally send a G-code command. This is where it starts chugging. Okay, that's as fast as it goes. What's up, Colton?
So somebody said something earlier about the 6mm hex on the vanadium nozzles. If you've got one that isn't, we have a spec obviously on that hex. So if you've found one that isn't fitting in a 6mm and doesn't have plastic buildup on it, please let us know. We do not quite 100% inspection, but we do inspect our nozzles a lot, and we build them in house. So if there's something that wasn't in spec, please let us know, and we're happy to take it back and figure it out.
6.23 across the flats.
Okay. 0.6 is okay. Yeah, reach out, email support@sliceengineering.com, and or you can go to our website and there's like a little submit a ticket thing, and we'll happily take a look at it.
Mine's 6.08, but this is not the most accurate caliper in the world. And this also isn't a vanadium nozzle. But it does fit in my 6mm because there's always leeway in the socket.
There's always leeway in the socket, yeah.
And you want the least amount of leeway if you don't want to strip those damn corners.
Right. Yeah, especially on a brass nozzle.
Yeah, even the copper ones, man. Like, it's such a soft, malleable material, and you'll go in there and be like, "Oh, look at this crappy socket I put on there," and all of a sudden your corners are rounded. You got like impressions from you got the higher count pattern. Some of these have like, some of them are actually just the size. Some of these have multiple points, and those points will just dig in. Especially when it's hot. Like, again, you're changing. A lot of people forget that you're printing. When you're changing nozzles, it's at 280. Like for most V6 people. So your brass is soft.
Yeah, it's very soft.
It's soft already.
Yeah. Yeah, and you can if you're changing it on the Mosquito, do it at room temp.
This was a 0.8 nozzle. It's actually a 0.8. Yeah, this is SE, so it's not the vanadium, right? I can never tell. I have so many nozzles in boxes and drawers and things I'll never ever use ever again. So many nozzles. Here's a vanadium. Guarantee that's a vanadium. What do we got here? What do we got here? This is 0.8 millimeter vanadium. Yeah, same 6.0-ish. 6.03. 6.04. Yeah. Again, not the most accurate set of calipers. I don't know how good Nyko stainless hardened calipers are. So the only thing I don't have is a fancy set of calipers. Someone posted the other day on Specialized Tools on Reddit. They had the crazy long
the huge calipers.
Yeah, from the whatever that fancy expensive brand is.
Mitutoyo.
Yeah. So basically, it was like a $1,000 caliper.
Yeah. Mitutoyo makes great calipers. They're really good.
And it comes with a sheet of paper that says at least it's been tested.
Yeah. Yeah. Those things are, you get the NIST calibration. When I worked in med device I was on the manufacturing side, and everything had to be, because we were FDA, like regulated is the right word I'm looking for. So every single caliper had to have, depending on what you were measuring, either a 6-month or an annual calibration. And there was a certificate. We had a whole lab where like 3 people worked in this lab, and their entire job was just making sure that everything was calibrated, and like the certificates went with everything. And it's kind of crazy. There's people talk about medicine being, or like healthcare being, really expensive. And a lot of it's just, if you have to employ 3 people just to make sure calibration certificates are going in the right place, drives up the cost of everything that goes out the door. So
those unknown expenses that you finally hear about on YouTube Live.
Right. Yes.
Dave, do you have one of those? Do you employ someone just at Printed Solid to every spool? They're just sitting there with a set of calipers.
Forget the calipers. Get a mic.
Oh, come on now.
There we go. Yep. Totally. That stuff happens, man.
Mine doesn't even measure to that, unless that's an inch. Unless that's 0.005 inch, then maybe. Yeah. That's why nuts in my industry are $20 for a point. Yeah.
Yeah.
My gosh.
Is Grubby Zebra, are you in aviation or medical?
Yeah, I believe he is. Yeah.
Aviation. Yeah.
My parents were both in aviation. My dad worked fuel control test for jet engines at Woodward Governor. Then my mom worked in heat treat and abrasion and machining at the same company. So
nice.
When I talk nozzles and stuff, they're like, "Oh yeah, this is the tool," because they had to make injector nozzles. And when I was showing them high-end macro shots taken with a $100,000 lab mic, they're like, "Oh yeah, we can get parts better than that for cheaper." Because their machines are meant to make like literally perfect holes for fuel injectors at much smaller orifice sizes, and and they're like, "Yeah, we're making shit like that all day."
Yeah, absolutely.
In harder to mill materials.
Yeah,
because it's got to keep people alive on an airplane.
Yeah, it's pretty important. After I worked for Rolls-Royce jet engines for a little while in Indianapolis. They have a factory there. Dave, that's hilarious. Anyway, that after working there, not that I was ever like super concerned about flying, but after working there, I was like, holy crap, the amount of effort that goes into making flight safe is insane. So every time I get on an airplane, I'm like, I'm really glad a lot of really smart people have thought about every itty bitty detail on this aircraft.
Oh yeah, and to the point where my mom sons should be fun to talk to. Oh yeah, sure. If you want a very angry, tiny Polish lady that literally wanted to murder everyone she worked with, yeah, she's great. she was always the one that would save them millions of dollars because she could put together like, so when she was on assembly, she could put 300 parts together in a weekend while everyone else was putting like 30.
Hmm.
So, and all of her parts would be perfect, and everyone else would have, would have to toss a bunch. And that's the only thing that sucks in aerospace. If the part after being assembled doesn't meet spec, it gets tossed. It doesn't get undone
Right.
and fixed. They just
Yeah.
toss the whole
They just
part.
throw it away.
Like, sounds like my grandfather. Yeah, it's weird. I don't know what it is about old tiny Polish people. They have an attitude. I already have an attitude, and I'm not old, but I'm still not even close to where my mom gets. It's just like, whew, it's a little rough. Yeah, aeronautics is interesting. I mean,
It's fascinating.
they've been doing that since I was born, so it's just like for 20 something years of my life, that's all I heard about. Was like, yeah, we're working on this part, and they worked with Rolls-Royce and they worked with
GE,
Boeing. My dad went
Boeing.
to GE and Boeing and Rolls-Royce, but
Mhm.
my dad got to go to that giant Boeing, the Fortress, I think they call it, out in Seattle, where it's like the building's a mile long, so the curvature
Yeah,
of the Earth, actually can't see the end of the building because
right.
the Earth curves.
Can you imagine
Um,
that construction project? Like,
no,
that
no,
would be nuts.
yeah.
Uh,
I don't think she was running from that. She had to run away from communism. So,
yeah, that would make
Russia
you.
took over Poland for a while. So
One
she
of
had to run away
my
from that.
bosses 3 jobs ago, was a Polish guy that had emigrated here, and the town that he grew up in, there was uh, there was a battle that ended up happening like in the middle of his town, and so when he was like 12 or something, his dad was remodeling one of the rooms, and they took the what do they call that? The windowsill off,
Yeah.
and under the windowsill, there were a bunch of 7.62 ammunition that somebody that had I guess sat up in the house,
Yeah.
aiming a machine gun out of the window, had like stuffed bullets all around the window to have extra ammunition. Um,
You never know
it's
when you need
crazy.
ammunition.
Right, right. You never know. So,
I just print it.
yeah.
I
Yeah, there you
someone made a softball of me with my bearded face, and I just carry that around with me and throw it at people.
go. Nice. There you
Just throw speakers at them. Throw Fotis made this. Just throw it and be like, oh, I do have this. I can hit them with the angry work hockey
The
fly
special.
swatter. That's how I take care of
Nice.
my invaders when they walk in my house unannounced. Here's a fly swatter. Oh man,
That's a thick fly swatter.
yeah, I mean it's TPU. My
Mhm.
buddy, the llama, the
Mhm.
3D printing llama, Mr. Thomas made this. So I just took my
Nice.
face and made it into a fancy fly
Die
swatter,
fly.
and he sent it
That's
to me. And I
awesome.
just had to put it together.
That's great.
Because dude, I have so many nozzles. Like anytime someone came out, like I've got the 3D Solex dual port nozzles. I've got Nozzle X's, diamondized nozzles, P3D nozzles, Chinese tungsten carbide nozzles, tungsten nozzles from Midwest Tungsten, vanadiums, micro Swiss, nozzles that are supposedly tungsten carbide, nozzles with coatings that say that they can go up to 4 kilograms of carbon fiber material. They don't. When you've tried everything, nothing surprises me anymore.
Yeah.
These did
Have you tried
surprise me.
which ones?
Your guys' copper nozzles. I was like,
Oh, the
I can't believe
Bridgemaster. Yeah.
I can't believe I'm still printing with these.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's that carbon buildup on that one. Construction of 3D print concrete.
That's a good question. I'm personally super interested in it, in using it for construction. I've been not in my professional career, but like I volunteered at a couple organizations that were building buildings and like helped out because my mechanical engineering background helped out with like specing things in the building, providing advice, etc. So I've been a part of a couple of construction crews, and it's fascinating work. Anything that's super mechanical, I'm totally into. So um, I would love to eventually. We're gonna have to grow a lot for that to make any sense for us, but yeah, it sounds really cool.
You could do that right now.
Right now, yeah.
Non-abrasive concrete nozzle, 100 millimeter.
There we go. That non-abrasive concrete.
Yeah, thick layers, baby.
If you invented that, now that you could go, yeah, you could take that to the bank.
If I had a go-to nozzle, once I can order some regular size Bridgemaster nozzles, that would probably be my go-to because I love copper nozzles. My go-to for the longest time were those E3D copper coated nozzles. They just printed so well, and copper nozzles are awesome. But every other nozzle has always kind of disappointed me in that area. Like every brass nozzle, they print the same. So the Bondtech brass nozzles, these Vision Minor ones, they're really well machined and they print really well. But they get gunked and gross because they have no coatings. So then I started buying the P3D nozzles, which they make a aluminum nozzle. So they have these aluminum nozzles, and they have standard brass that are coated in the same stuff that the Triclad coating, the same thing that Microswiss uses. They were nice, but then their specs would be all over. Like I had nozzles that would not go into a heat heat block. Like it was so over spec because I don't know if they cut it for the right spec and then coated it and then it doesn't fit now. So they kept jumping. So I had to stop buying them because if I can't even put it in my hot end, then what's the point? But to have a coated copper nozzle that's non-stick and can print high temp and can once in a while print something that is a little bit more abrasive would be my go-to. So probably a Bridgemaster once I can get my hands on some.
Yeah, we'll have those in stock pretty soon.
And then vanadiums because I print so much carbon fiber. So much. Oh yeah, the ruby nozzles. Hold on, I got those in here too.
You got some rubies too.
Yep. Okay, I will say this: they work, and I will say that the cheaper ruby nozzles. So I got one from. I've owned the actual ruby nozzles. This is a ruby nozzle from Filament One. They redid That's just a Chinese company that probably did it for them, but they redid the geometry on the gem. So it's a better flow. So instead of being a hard stop into that gem, they coned the gem's orifice so that way the film would flow better into it, and it did print better. The only downfall is eventually after printing a whole bunch, I noticed it started printing bad, and a chunk was missing. I never knocked it on anything, never did anything differently, but the orifice is actually has a little chunk chipped out of it. And the fact it doesn't have a nonstick coating, it's gross. Like it's carbonized to craziness. So I like them. Like I wish they worked better because they're so damn expensive. I've broken so many Olsen rubies because the way they do it, a lot of people don't know. It's not just some ruby at the end. So it's a ruby with a flange, and they shove it into the nozzle, and then the actual where the
threads.
Where the thread is, there's a cone that goes in there. So the threads are very, very thin. So they're very easy to break. And I was using their fancy torque wrench to put the nozzle, and I've snapped off 2 of their nozzles, like putting them on. So they're like, "Oh, you over torqued it." I'm using your torque wrench. They're 3D printed fancy torque wrench or whatever. And then I bought one more, and I used a fancier torque wrench, like a digital one. Like, okay, I'm gonna set it to less than what it recommends to torque it to, and it broke too. So I was like, I'm done. All in a copper block. So I think that was the issue. The copper block doesn't give; the aluminum blocks do.
Yeah. I've got to see a question here from Victor. If you've received a bimetallic heat break that is not coated, it's not from us.
Yeah.
So if you could drop us a line, either you could send it to support or info@sliceengineering.com with a photo.
Because the Triangle
we'd
Labs
love to
ones
see
are
that.
bare copper.
They are, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if they're not coated, they're not from us. So
They also don't have the correct centerpiece. It's not cold rolled steel.
right. Yeah. So they're using different materials than we are, and they don't have a coating.
Ooh, it is extremely high-end tool steel.
It is, yeah. So I'm not going to remember the Rockwell hardness off the top of my head, unfortunately.
Probably the 60s.
Yeah, I think it's. I can look this up on our product page real quick. Yeah, it's. I want to say it's like C68. Give me a second, I'll find it.
Yeah, for some reason I think it's also 68. Vanadium nozzle.
C65.
C65.
Yeah. So we spec'd a steel that has a higher hot hardness. So it's. Oh, you're a knife guy. I just noticed the name. Yeah, knives are great. Actually, I don't have a knife on me right now, but I usually always have a knife, and so I'm like super nerdy about steels. um, so so we're actually using a steel that you're probably familiar with, but yeah, we use a high hot hardness steel that we spec'd because it retains its hardness at a higher temperature. So most of the, if you see a Rockwell hardness, that's obviously at room temperature, and hardness doesn't necessarily linearly correlate to abrasion resistance. And so we spec'd a steel that is better at abrasion resistance than most of the other ones out there, and it also works better. It does not. Its decrease of abrasion resistance is not linear with temperature increase, which is the case with a lot of steels.
Yeah.
So that's why we can give a lifetime warranty on those.
Oh yeah, Victor's saying that it was gray. It's not silver. Gray is normal.
Oh yeah, gray is normal.
Yeah, it should be like the pictures are on your website look more like renders, but then there's a more gray matte finish one. Let me share my screen. Let me share the screen here. Share screen. And Copperhead, allow. So that picture on the left here shows like that more matte gray finish that you should be receiving when you get your bimetallic heat break. But if you go further and you look at these pictures here and it shows shiny silver, that's just a render.
Yeah, that's a rendering.
So yeah, these are all renders until we get to that one that's an actual picture. So these three, that's you should be more of a matte gray.
Yeah.
So
yeah, Victor, please do send us an email and we can identify if it's that's the real thing. So.
Let's see. Even though
Diamond nozzle.
I mean,
maybe
Ruby is already as hard as it's basically close as you're going to get to diamond anyway,
yeah.
and nothing you're going to be able to print is harder than Ruby. It sucks like using a material like that, especially something so brittle as Ruby. If the temperature decreases too quickly, it's going to crack. If you hit it against the bed, it's not about its ability to be anti-abrasive. It's also about its ability to withstand the normal punishments of 3D printing. Because if you decide to knock a metal sheet with that nozzle while it's hot, I even think the diamond would crack. Like, you probably won't. You might be able to chip it. I don't know. I don't know about the layer bondages of molecular diamond here. It's outside of my realm of logic. But all I know is from Ruby it can always break those damn Ruby nozzles just by hitting it on the bed.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
very brittle.
Sapphire is Ruby. Sapphire is just a different color Ruby. Additional iron. Yeah. They should have the same. Sapphire and Ruby have the same hardness, I guess. And there's some brands that say that they have sapphire nozzles. Okay. Because what is that brand? I think it's 3D Solex. They make a sapphire nozzle.
Yeah, Everlast.
Yep. The Everlast nozzle.
Yep. Yeah.
So. Wow. Just color, yeah. Same base material, different color, a little different. Welcome to Gem Class 103. We're outside of my realm of knowledge by far. Dan, you probably have something with these materials.
I'm not a gemology guy. No,
Yeah.
I try to stick to steels and coppers and other metallic stuff.
I try to not break things that are metallic or coppery, or I've broken so many things that are gems that I mean, again, they're $100 a nozzle, like, and it's just plain brass. And I wish I had one of the broken ones with me. I mean, it is such that gap between those, because again, they don't bond that little cap that goes in there to anything. It's just pressure fit.
Right.
So
Yeah,
when
it's
you
an assembly.
torque it too far, those threads crack, and then you got nothing because it's such a thin wall. So,
and there's not a lot of room.
Nozzle.
Ceramic nozzle would be interesting.
Won't pass heat though, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
But then again, Ruby's not passing heat either, so.
No.
Things we're learning. So we know that you guys will not make a nozzle with rubies in it.
Highly unlikely. Yeah, unless we could find a way to make the whole nozzle out of a ruby, but then it'd be crazy expensive and nobody would buy it. So
and also probably very brittle.
Yes, it would also be very brittle.
And not transfer heat for shit.
No. It would look awesome though.
It would look awesome, like slightly transparent, like you can see the filament coming through it.
That would be super cool.
Can you make a glass nozzle? Because glass would transfer the heat pretty well. Just for fun, like.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
And you can machine glass and then polish.
You can.
It.
Yeah, you can machine it and polish it. The dust would be super annoying. I mean, so would the dust from ruby.
Yeah, but you only have to make a few.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it'd be just amazing. Like you could actually make the heat block out of glass as well.
Yeah, that'd be just a straight flex. You just be like, yeah, we can do this.
Yeah. I don't care. This needs to happen. Like, because the only part that really needs to not be that is the heat break and the heat sink.
Right. Yeah. True. Make a glass. Use a ceramic nozzle so you can guarantee to shatter the glass bed. That's perfect. you can break both at once.
Yeah. Oh man, I remember when I put a ruby into the bed one time. Oh boy, that ruined whatever sheet I had on there at the time.
Yeah,
it was a bad day.
I bet.
Because that a little stronger than your normal brass nozzle, and also once it was cracking and stuff, it was sharp, and it was just.
We broke a bed in the office yesterday. I don't remember exactly. I wasn't actually present for the breaking, but came back and it was like, well, good thing we had an extra one for those. I don't think we crashed that one. Forget what happened, but we ended up essentially like peeling a layer off of the bed. So
interesting. Oh, like a mixing hot end.
Yeah, those are interesting. There's the 3-into-1. What do they call those? The diamond, I think they call it a diamond.
Yeah, there's a diamond. There's the hexagon. Not the hexagon. The diamond. The something. There's a clone of yours that has the mixing mosquito.
Yep. Yeah. There's one of those. I haven't seen one that actually works well yet.
I keep seeing
the mixing. I mean,
they keep posting your mixing one, your cloned mixing one, and everyone's like, "Does it work?" And everyone's like, "I never tried it."
Yeah. Yeah, we haven't seen one that works yet. That diamond design doesn't really. I don't know. We haven't had good success with it, and I'm really the best multi-material stuff we've used so far has been the Prusa MMU and the palette.
Yeah,
those are the best options at the moment.
Palette's less multi-material, more multicolor, but
you
can do it.
You can do it. Yeah, you can do it. Yeah, and then dual, IDEX or other dual extrusion options are really a good way.
IDEX is dope.
IDEX is dope.
Really cool.
We really like IDEX. Yeah.
You guys have a 25mm fan on your hot ends, right?
We do. Yeah, it's 25 mil.
Yeah. It's tiny. I have one in a box.
It's a little tiny fan.
I have no choice but to use these damn 40mm fans because Prusa won't I just need to like hunk down and be like, well, let's put a 30mm fan back on here, or 25.
Yeah.
So much air loss when you take a thing this and you go,
You duct it.
"Wee."
Yeah.
You don't duct axial fans, guys.
Yeah.
Just throwing that out there. I still want a cool cooling system from you guys. That's
like liquid cooling?
no,
What are you
no.
talking? No.
Like cooling the nozzle. Like remember when I said you should make that Hydra with the
Oh
multi?
yeah. So we actually did we send you the blower tip
You showed me the
things?
tips, yeah. I got
Yeah,
those. I
yeah.
just have no
So
use for them because I can't design for crap.
yeah.
So it's like I got these tips and they look awesome, but what do I do with them because I can't design? It's in here.
Yeah, we
Yep, there it is. Still on the sheet of paper that you sent it with.
okay. All right, there we go. Yeah, so we made some of those and they
October of last
work.
year.
There we go. Yeah, so they work. But there's just so many different printers and you have to design a different shroud or duct for every single printer out there that it just ended up not making sense for us
The
to
Hydra, bro.
yeah.
Bendable. You got one
Yeah.
fan and you got bendable little hole. You can put
Right.
it wherever you want it. Because again, like you got these cool little metal tubes that you guys have that you can aim it however you want to aim it, and I'm like over here like that would look cool, but then I have to print something to attach it with. And that was a problem. Like I used to only have Prusa, so if I can't change the geometry of the extruder. If I did,
Right.
firmware wouldn't work. Now I don't. It doesn't matter. None of my printers run stock firmware. They all run Marlin, so I can put whatever the heck I want on there. Still lacking the design thing. So when you got things like this, you can just send this guy to it who can design.
Yeah, we sent out quite a few of those to different people, and yeah, it ended up being so much design work that it wouldn't have made sense for us to carry it as a product.
You already have a bunch of designs for like every printer having a copperhead and every printer having a mosquito attachment.
Right.
So
right. Yeah.
Now we just need you guys to team up with E3 with Bondtech and make a super Bondtech copperhead hot end like the DDX.
Yeah. DDX can take a copperhead or a mosquito.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah,
Oh
those
yeah, pretty quad.
For those that aren't familiar, the DDX is Bondtech's new system for the Creality machines. So I think it fits pretty sure it fits every Creality machine on the market as an ender, as depending on how you spec it, and you can put a copperhead or mosquito on there.
Oh yeah. What's up, Amanda? Machinist style coolant flex with see, that's what I'm saying. They make those flex tubes.
Yeah.
And I wanted to call the Hydra. Like I had this idea. Like again, I'm an engineer in my brain. Like I went to engineering school. Like I have ideas, but I can't design for shit. Like I'm not gonna go in CAD and be like, look at this cool thing.
Right.
I just go, here's an idea. It's literally some kind of air system, and it has bendable arms that you can position the air exactly. And then like it makes sense. And there's things that can do that.
Yeah, but absolutely. There are.
Someone's got to make it
and
make it cost effective. Because if it's $500, no one's going to buy your $500 cooling system.
Right. That's the problem.
What if you made it so it can blow, like you can put packs of dry ice in it and blow really cold air?
That'd be super cool because it would be sublimating while you print, and you would have like a smoke machine in your printer. That would look awesome.
I'm okay with this. So, all right. Anything else, Dan? We've talked about your PTFE paint, your nozzle paint, your copperhead, your bimetallic heat break, your Bridgemaster nozzles. We even brought in this amazing boron nitride paste, which I forgot the name of because I have so much of it, and your wrenched your
you brought out all the toys.
They're all in the drawers. they're everywhere. Like you want magnets? I got magnets.
Nice.
They're all that got stuff everywhere. There's stuff. Oh, I just dropped a magnet on the floor. Don't need it anyway. We'll turn FD into literal smoke and mirrors.
Yeah, that's true.
It'd be cool, like your print's finishing, and all of a sudden there's like a cloud.
Oh,
but
that'd
you
be
can run
awesome.
your fan at a much lower speed.
You could, or not need one. Yeah.
Yeah, you just need to blow it at like 2%. Just
Yeah.
It blows already hyper. If you go too high, I think you get condensation. You didn't end up with
Right. Yeah.
wet nozzle.
Yeah. And then that would, well, I mean, then you just vaporize it, I guess.
Yeah.
Uh,
And they get more. Then they get steam too, and then people are really
right.
freaking out.
Yeah.
Like
Steam.
fire.
that would make for a crazy video.
All right, Dan, you got to build
Yeah.
with the glass nozzle. With the glass hot end you're building.
Yeah.
And the steam, the cold air fan Hydra.
Mhm.
We got this. It'll be
All
a
right.
good video.
All right. Yeah, that would be an awesome video. Yeah, it'd be a great video.
Key ring. Oh, do I have the key ring? Dang it. Ugh. I gotta go look at my box of things that you guys sent. Well, not box of things that you sent with the copperhead.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, there's my other boron nitride paste. Is there a slice? Is there a ring in here? Maybe I
I've got
did
it
get
on my
one.
keys. My keys are hanging in the garage, so
I don't see it.
yeah,
I'm being lied
I don't
to.
have it handy. Actually, I may have another set of keys over here.
But here's the other boron nitride paste that I have
There you
from
go.
the copperhead Kickstarter, and there's some more screws.
Yeah.
Oh, sure, you got one.
I've got one.
Yeah, the multi-tool. I have that upstairs. That's why it's not in this box. So I put everything from that Kickstarter in my fishing tackle of the month club box.
Nice.
Because I moved the tackle to my tackle box, and I was like, ooh. Yeah, so here's some more boron nitride paste. You get this much of it, and I've used that much.
You're gonna have VN paste for a while.
Yeah. Oh, you guys changed the logo. Now it says fancy things. It used to say Slice Engineering ZYP Coatings. Now it says Slice Engineering ZYP Boron Nitride Thermal Paste.
Yeah.
Oh, and you guys put the MSDS. The SDS is labeled on here now.
Yeah. Now the SDS is on there, so that people don't try to eat it or something.
Does that happen often in 3D printing? Like,
No, actually, so far we have not had that happen. The reason I joke about that is Miller Stevenson, which is the chemical company that we work with for this stuff now, is they have a product called Krytox, and on YouTube there was a Krytox eating competition for a while, which Miller Stevenson was very very frustrated about. So
why were they eating something called Krytox?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Does it make them feel good?
I don't think so. I think it clears out your insides, so probably makes you feel pretty terrible later. Yeah. So anyway,
not a fan.
Yeah,
not a fan. So, PTFE paint is safe. Don't drink it.
Yeah,
but it does not release a whole bunch of different chemistry than your standard PTFE.
It's not a Bowden
PTFE tubing.
Yeah, it's similar to like what's on a frying pan.
Also, never buy this black PTFE from AliExpress. That's crap.
I've never used black stuff.
Well, it's not actually PTFE. Fun fact.
Oh.
Because whatever it is garbage. This was a 50-foot spool of PTFE. I go through a lot of PTFE.
Wow. 50 foot, that's a lot.
Well, when you build 100 hot ends in your lifetime, in the last couple of years, and you have all these Bowden systems, and it's nice to have, I don't know how much is left on here, but it was 50 feet of pure fluoro PTFE tubing. I purchased this on 3/15/2019.
Nice.
Oh, Bob wants to know when the new nozzles are launching on your website.
That's a good question. Probably early September, I would guess. Yeah.
So next month.
Yeah.
We're at the 15th. We're halfway through this month.
We are. Yeah. Oh, I know that probably sounds like it's a long way away, but it's not. It's not at all.
But when you're staying at home trying not to catch COVID like most people,
right,
the days go by a lot slower. Telling you, man, these months, it actually feels like I'm back in like grade school when time is just like standing still.
And you're like, I'm bored, Mom.
Yeah. I'm bored. Go wash the dog. We don't have a dog. Go wash the neighbor's dog. Okay. September Bridgemaster nozzles, and those are all going to be standard E3D size. With
yeah, so it's
minus the 6mm.
Right. Yeah. So they'll be the same as the vanadium nozzles. So that's a 12.5mm overall length and M6 thread.
Made of copper. Anything fancy in that copper, or is it just really nice, clean copper?
It's the same copper alloy that we use for the
heat blocks.
Heat block, yeah. So it's a harder alloy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there we go. So that PTFE paint was in the nozzle.
Yeah, it'll come right out.
Yep.
If from the filament pushing through. So
I'm bored with Uncle Bob. Go wash the neighbor's cat. We have a running joke that I live in Bob's basement. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, because we're always all streaming together. So I'm like,
right.
Bob and Renee are upstairs. Jordan lives over there. So Mad Monkey lives on that side of the basement. I'm on this side of the basement. Next door is Dan and Devin. So I'm going to be washing Dan and Devin's cats, I guess.
that would be probably hazardous for your health. The cat would resist.
No, that's what
vehemently, I'm sure. Oh, chloroform.
Like, smell this PTFE paint, cat. Knock them out right away. Please don't make your animals sniff PTFE paint.
Yes,
it does have an interesting smell. It's like not chemically. That's like the weird. I was expecting
it's mostly water.
Yeah, it smells like water with some kind of like stuff in it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't recommend inhaling it just for safety, but
is that why I'm feeling really lightheaded right now?
That's funny.
Boy, it's one of those days. Cool. Anything else, Dan?
Well, I saw a couple questions here. Doug asked where to find the bimetallic heat break. So it depends on if you're looking for the copperhead one or the mosquito one. The mosquito one will be on the mosquito page. And the copperhead one will be on the copperhead page. So depending on what you're looking for, you should be able to find it there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was already on that page earlier.
All right, there was something else I wanted to answer. Yeah, we've got like a replacement parts section, and so you can also find the heat breaks there. Yeah, if you go to the shop.
Replacement parts, all Crack Fiend. But it only has the mosquito heat break. It doesn't have the copperhead heat break.
Oh, you're right. You're right. We should fix that. Give me a second. Let me write that down.
See, this is why we check things. See, I'm like, I need one of these, and it's always good to have a set of these. I made sure to buy a couple of those. Ooh, so glad you guys include those. Upgrade. Oh, choose your printer, choose your hot end upgrade bundle. All right.
Yeah.
Prusa.
That's something we launched recently. Was the hot end configurator.
There you go. Mark III. Oh, I'm gonna choose Copperhead. Requires a printable adapter. Click here for the adapter. Look at that, and I downloaded it now.
Yeah, so we're trying to make things as easy as possible to make upgrades. And then if there's something that there's a little form, there's a little link at the bottom of that page on the select your printer one that if there's something that's not in that list that you want to see, submit a request, and we have a whole list of requests that we're working through to design, make sure that we're making what people want, in terms of upgrade kits.
You only have 3 Creality printers? What?
Yeah, we've only got those 3 in the office that we've tested. So, so we're going to have to expand the selection.
I want to get one of those. So you have one of these Formbot Trudons?
We don't have one of those. We do have somebody that we work with that has one of those. So we, if there's somebody that has the printer that we can trust their design input, we'll work with them. So we do have a Railcore in the office.
Ooh, and a Copperhead option for it. Nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Look at that. How to configure is you only have the Raise 3D Pro 2, not the E2. Yeah, the E2 has that hexagonal thing you're talking about, right?
So the N2 has the hexagonal one. We actually have not gotten an E2 to test yet. So if you have an E2, we'd love to talk to you and figure out what the best way to mount is.
Yeah, he's a good dude. You can talk to him.
Yeah.
He's a smart guy too, so he'll probably be
That's
able to
good.
figure it out.
That's good.
Yeah. Railcore with a copperhead.
Yeah. Yeah, so we love the Railcore. Actually, we do all kinds of crazy stuff with our Railcore. It's been doing a lot of printing. So upgrade kits include the right wrenches. Which I'm not sure which wrench. Yeah, Ken, if you've got specific wrenches that you're thinking
the
of,
Allen keys are all right.
Let me know. Yeah, we've got all the Allen keys that you need included.
There just isn't a 6mm for the nozzles because a lot of people are used to the E3D size 7mm.
Yeah, so a lot of the kits actually come with the nozzle torque wrench.
Yep.
To install the nozzle. So, but yeah, if there's something specifically that you want to see,
that's a nice
please just let us know. Thank you. Yeah, I worked really hard on that photo. So
that's cool.
Yeah. Oh, wrong slide. Yeah, it's like looking in a mirror here at the video. Yeah.
Lifetime supply of plastic repellent paint.
If you were to buy an upgrade kit, but wanted a different size nozzle, wait, comments just jumped. Would that be doable? Do you mean like a different orifice or like a different company? We try to make our nozzles compatible with as many different companies as we can.
Yeah.
So if it's an M6 thread on your nozzle, then it'll fit. You're gonna have to check the threaded length, of course.
Oh, I think what he's mentioning is like, can I get a 0.6 instead of a 0.4?
Oh, yeah, that's totally doable. Yeah.
Yep, different orifice. See, I know that guy.
There you go.
The wrench for the retainer that keeps the heater cartridge and thermistor in it. Oh, it comes with that Allen key.
Yeah, it should come with
all three Allen keys.
Yeah.
I should have a mosquito box is it in this drawer? I always keep one mosquito box around me somewhere, but they have all the 3 Allen keys, the tiny ones to remove the small screws in the stems, and then also the bigger Allen key for the attachment screw, and then the biggest Allen key, which is used for those screws to hold the heater cartridge and thermistor.
Yeah,
at least I know everyone I've bought has, because like the 4 that I bought all had all 3 sets of keys, and then my copperhead also came with 3 Allen keys, or 2. Came with 2 Allen keys.
I think that one has 2. It doesn't have the little tiny one.
Yeah. Yep. Just for the small screws that hold the top in for the non groove mount adapter version.
Just slice have a drop-in replacement hot end. So the copperhead, sort of. Yeah, yes with an asterisk. Yeah, so the Mosquito and Copperhead and Magnum, all 3 will fit on the Prusa. It just depends on what configuration you want. So like the easiest possible thing you could do would be to just get the Copperhead bimetallic heat break, the RepRap 175 style, and the Copperhead hot block, and that'll screw right into the heatsink, the standard heatsink that comes with it. So that would be your easiest drop-in replacement.
And then you have available the STLs for
for the printable
Shure body that holds either the Mosquito Magnum, or the Copperhead.
Right. And so you just download the files and print them.
It's fully patented on the Mosquito, and
the
Copperhead is open source.
Yep. Yeah.
Ooh, just use the configurator. After add to the cart, just remove the nozzle and add the one you like. Oh. There's no shipping to Malaysia. Oh, and no resellers in Malaysia either.
I think Bondtech. So we are selling all of our stuff is also sold through Bondtech's reseller network.
Yep.
And so I believe Bondtech has a reseller in Malaysia, which I think that's what he's saying. Yeah, shipping to different countries is there's a lot of customs stuff that goes with it, and
It's crazy.
we just hired a logistics guy that works with customs specifically. So we're trying to use that experience and expertise, somebody that actually knows what they're doing with customs, to expand
Good question.
our
Have you tried
offerings.
to defend your patent against Triangle Labs and other clones for the Mosquito?
We are working on a comprehensive, defense strategy. So all those companies have heard from us.
Yeah, just if they care.
Right. Yeah.
It
And
is
if they
so
don't
easy.
care, then there will be, of course, further consequences. So
Yeah, it's so sad watching the clone market. It's like you guys had the bimetallic heat breaks in your Kickstarter, and then bimetallic heat breaks came out before you even launched yours.
yeah,
Like, and
Yeah.
people don't understand just how awful that is to a company that did all the work making it. Like, you've already invested the money in doing it. You've already put the time in testing and already did all that. And there's absolutely no repercussions to these companies. So people are just like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. Maybe they should have made it cheaper. They should have done that. Like, they took up the entire expense making this product. And I would understand it. Like, let's say you guys made a Mosquito, and then like 2 years or 3 years down the line, someone came out with a clone. It'd be less of an
less
issue then.
detrimental.
It's still an
Yeah.
issue, but it's less of a kick in the pants, like, or a stab in the back. Like, okay, we sold a bunch. Now we have a new version, and someone made a clone of it. It's literally like, uh, a before or a week after you see clones. It's ridiculous how quickly
It is.
they're coming out, and stuff that doesn't have schematics. Like, how do you clone something that doesn't have posted numbers and stuff? And none of them have the same materials being used. Like, a lot of people, it's the same thing. Like, it's not the same copper, it's not the same heat break, it's not the same anything else. It doesn't come with any warranty. You don't even know if what you get is going to work, and they're like, oh, it works fine. Like, do you know? Like, have you tried it against the real thing? Because I remember that first one, that the Mellows one, the first one that came out. That thing was machined like crap. Like, it was literally like someone took a chisel and like, I'm making a Mosquito hot end. Like,
Right.
sure you are, buddy. I'm sure you are.
Yeah. The worst is when people buy the clone and then say that it doesn't work. Say that the real thing doesn't work. That's it's hard to not take that personally. Because it's like we spend a lot of time and effort, obviously, to try and come up with something that works really well and helps people get what they want to done, and makes people's lives better. So yeah, if you haven't tried the real thing, please don't say that it doesn't work.
So they said so. Someone said the Magnum came with the Allen keys, but the Copperhead didn't come with any Allen keys.
Okay, yeah, I guess it depends on which configuration you bought. But I actually just took a note about that so that we can
Double check.
make sure. Yeah. So thank you for bringing this stuff up. This is great because I can directly talk to people.
That is the hard part. It's hard to reach that screw through the design of the MK3S Copperhead design. I have that same design. It is hard to get. You can kind of get to that screw to remove the heat break.
Okay.
It involves
hard to
like
get to.
shoving it in there and bending the plastic and.
Okay. That's a good. Let me write that down too.
Because that's the one other cool. Like, oh, I just want to pop this off. Because actually, what's funny, that's a great feature to have, because being able to slide the hot end out. So that way, when you want to just take your extruder apart, you can leave everything wired up. Also, if you ever do get a jam, that's amazing. I wish more things weren't screw thread. After seeing this, I'm like, man, if you do ever get a jam in there, like let's say you get like some crappy filament, you just go, boop, and poke poke in there, maybe do a cold pull in there, do something. It's kind of neat.
I'm a little distracted trying to write this down.
Yeah, Victor, the clone bimetallic heat break is not that good. I end up getting one as well, and while it is two different materials, it's not that same. Again, I don't know what they're using for that for the actual steel part. You know, because Slice is using a higher end cold rolled steel tube, which is thinner and also has a lower heat conductivity than your just like a regular steel tube.
Mhm.
I mean, steel can be anything. Like stainless steel can have a higher or lower thermal capacity, higher or lower. So they don't push a number. But when I did my thermal test with it, it was worse than the actual copperhead or the actual Slice bimetallic heat break.
Mhm.
And who knows how the machining is on the inside? Because if it's just like a steel tube, you know, who knows what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, actually that test you ran with the different temperatures was really cool. It was a good test.
Yeah. It was definitely a fun, long. Nobody understands how long of a process that because like I cool the whole thing down to 0 to
Right.
then do it and then to take it all apart, reassemble it again, and make sure the thermocouple is in the exact same location to make sure it's not because if I run it in the same spot and the thermocouple is wrong and I run it 5 times in a wrong thermocouple spot,
Mhm.
then I get wrong data 5
Totally
times.
wrong readings. Yeah.
So I take it apart, reset the thermocouple, double check everything, put it back together again, run it again, and it's my values do jump more because I'm
Mhm.
probably skewing that thermocouple up and down like a hair, but that's better than me being wrong and
Right.
repeating it 5 times versus me being right every time and repeating it and having a little bit of error, and again,
Mhm.
the more times I run it, the less error I have overall, and the values were within line with your higher end thermal cameras. So it's just like,
Mhm.
yeah, different grades of stainless do exist.
Yes.
There's quite a few of them.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up, Carl?
Hey, Carl.
What the filament path is just 1.75 on the clone. Oof,
Whoa.
that would be insane if you bought any filament from not a reputable brand.
Yeah.
Oh.
Wow. Yeah, that I don't see how that would even work, honestly.
I mean, 1.8 is about as small of a hole as you'd want ever for anything
Yeah,
3D printing related.
honestly, even that's too small.
Because
But yeah,
1.75 plus or minus 0.5 is 1.8. Like,
right.
and that's
Yeah.
if it's within a spec. Like, I've bought stuff from really high end brands that was not within that spec.
Mhm.
That would just be jam.
Jam
Jam.
City.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's also thermal expansion of the filament. So if it is 1.8 and it starts getting warm, it's going to expand. So,
Right.
and that's not a good jam to get because then when you
No.
take it apart, it's in there.
The whole thing. The whole heat break.
Oh yeah, yeah. The 1.83 definitely won't fit in a lot of hot ends. Because what's the internal heat break on your cold rolled, your bimetallics? Like 1.8 something?
It's actually a little bit bigger than that. Yeah, so it's just under 2.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit more room for issues.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I also have the Dragon, which is another like they copied your guys' Mosquito heat break, or
Mm-hmm.
yeah, your Mosquito heat break, and put it into a V6 clone. An
Yep.
interesting clone. I got to admit, like that was
Yeah,
the most creative.
it is very creative. Yeah,
Yeah,
it is a very creative.
take something everyone already has and shove
Right.
the better technology into it. But then you
Mm-hmm.
guys did that already. You can literally buy a V6, which I have them. Yeah, here we go. Oh, that's not a built one. Where's my built V6s? There's one. And then just take this bimetallic heat break you have, which I have no idea where I put it on my desk because I've been goofing with it. Don't let a kid in a candy store like me in your store. If I ever show up at Slice one day, just make sure everything's taped down. There we go. Literally, like that's a Dragon. It's a V6 with a bimetallic heat break.
Mm-hmm.
but it does have the one-handed nozzle changes.
Right. it
Not
does.
really, because the
Yeah.
groove mount will spin.
Right.
So I did
Yeah.
try that a few times, and my groove mount would spin.
Yeah.
Slice the mosquitoes copper. I have to blame Dan when my wife asks why I'm building another printer.
I'll take the blame. Pass it. Pass the
Yeah,
blame.
that's fine. Like, go ahead and tell your wife to send me a letter.
All right. There you go.
Like, send me an angry letter.
Yeah.
I'll take it. You just keep buying printers. What's up, Llama?
That's awesome.
Llama, come here so I can give you a whacking. All right. Anything else, chat, humans? Anything else in the chat? Gosh, I've had filament jump around so much. 1.83 is insane. I remember when people used to buy Maker Geeks film and be like, this is 2 millimeters. Like, how does that even pass?
Yeah. When we were 2017, when we were starting, we bought several rolls of filament from different companies that were like 195, 194.
What? That's not even a real number.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That wouldn't even fit in an E3D, like, because they're 1.9.
Right.
So, how high can I jack the temp up on a Mark 3S with a copperhead? That's a good question. Your only issue will be those printed parts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so he said ASA extruder.
So 110C. So as long as the ambient temperature coming off of the heat block isn't 110C.
Yeah, you should. You'll definitely get a lot higher. We've had several people do full ASA builds on their Mark 3s, Mark 3Ss, and they can 290, 300. They can print it. Yeah, your limitation is going to be how close your fan ducts and things like that extruder body is to the hot block.
That radiated heat's going to be an issue.
Right, radiated heat's going to be an issue, and then you're going to want to be careful if you're printing at those temps to have really good ventilation, obviously, which then makes it more difficult to get good bed adhesion and good interlayer bond strength. So, yeah, just the problem gets more complex.
Yeah, I'm going to start testing 350C with the Zerabo because it's got a Mosquito Magnum and the Bondtech SLS printed body. I'm going to see if it can do it. And it's got the high temp thermistor and everything in there from you guys and the 50-watt heater cartridge. We'll see if that melts or not. And normally your materials that print that hot, you don't really use a fan. So
yeah,
you just
that's true.
Really hot enclosure and pray you don't set anything on fire.
Yeah, we've got some customers that are doing medical stuff that don't use a fan on their mosquito because they're the higher temperature filaments obviously take more heat to melt, and so they're actually absorbing a lot of heat. And so if you're printing at a high volume, then yeah, you don't actually need a fan. So,
with Creality.
We'd certainly be willing to talk to them. Yeah, I'm not sure that mosquito would be the right setup for the volumes that they're doing. So copperhead might be a better setup for them. I know Creality is buying boards from there's a German company that they're buying boards from, and they're buying gears from Bondtech. So yeah, we would certainly be willing to talk to Creality.
Nice. I need more boards. When are you guys making 3D printer boards?
That's not our area of expertise, so I think we're going to stick with unless we add some people to the team that are electrical. We'll stick with.
You guys adding PTFE tubing?
Yeah, well, Capricorn's got some pretty good tubes.
Can't do it. I can't do it. Do I have any more Capricorn in here? I probably do somewhere. Yep, there's some Capricorn tubing. There's more in here somewhere. I got everyone's tubing. Nice. Amazon Special, Triangle Labs tubing, orange tubing, pink tubing, more other brands tubings.
Nice. It's a lot of tubing.
Yeah, you know.
Tube master.
This is, hold on, I grab it. This is the entire drawer of PTFE
Whoa.
tubing.
That is a lot of PTFE tubing.
Oh, I've tried it all.
That's
I've tried everything. I go
Nice.
back to the same fluorostore.com, American-made PTFE every single time.
Nice.
It's cheaper. It's always centered, always in spec. And why do I have a USB cable in there? Garbage.
Looks similar.
Into it. Ah, an all-metal hot end for the Pro models would be amazing. And yeah, I mean, literally, I mean, a copperhead would be perfect
be
for a
great.
Pro model because it's light and they use the same style heat break. It has a slide. Oh, man, this is what I get for getting rid of all my Creality products. I'm trying to remember how their hot end works. I know it's a really janky.
Well, they have a different hot end on every single machine, which makes it complex. That's why, like the DDX that Bontech just released, there's so many different versions because it's got to fit all these different machines because everyone's a little bit different. But yeah, Carl, if we'd be happy to talk to them. Obviously, you know, if we do work with OEMs, you know, you guys have probably seen the Stacker announcement recently and the Lulzbot announcement.
I so need one of those Stacker printers.
The Stacker printers are super cool. The F1 is
you need to bug them
awesome.
for me. That's your job this weekend is to be like, okay, I got this guy that could totally put the paces on it.
Yeah. So anyway, obviously, if we're doing, you know, non-retail package, huge volume stuff with OEMs, you know, we can get better pricing for somebody like Creality than what we can for like a retail product. So so we'd be happy to talk to them.
And a lot of times they just remove all the badging too off of it and find any way to make it a little less expensive in mass quantity.
Yeah, there's things we can do to reduce cost.
Yeah, a little less anodizing here and there, you know.
Yeah.
Make them pay for blue anodizing.
Blue anodize would be cool.
You guys should do. I know this kind of goes back to my nerdy side. Is limited run like during October for Halloween, do an orange anodized little run of hot ends.
That would be fun.
That yeah.
Luke, where do you want me to friend you? Twitter, Facebook, where?
Isn't Luke Hatfield the guy who goes in the spaceships?
Is it?
I still go with the size of the nozzle. So if you have a 0.4 millimeter nozzle, 0.4 millimeter retract, it just depends. Like PTG sometimes a little bit higher, but it's crazy. Like I'm printing TPU with a Mosquito Magnum, and I'm at like 0.8 millimeter retraction. Like that is a ridiculously low retraction for really clean TPU prints.
Yeah. And it depends on if you're direct drive or Bowden, obviously. So for direct drive units, we would recommend the diameter of the nozzle orifice for your retraction settings.
Oh, ERF and Murph colors would be cool too.
Oh, that would be cool. That'd be really cool.
That's too many holidays. Like you got to pick one. Orange works for both Slice and Halloween.
Yes, that's true.
So, like, it kind of reminds me like when they do like comic books will have like new covers so that they can keep the rarity up. You know, make people interested. You know, and E3D did the gold hot end.
Which, they did.
Which isn't actually gold, but you know,
close enough. Yeah.
Facebook, as he says, for Luke Hatfield.
Luke, just send an email to info@slice and just ask info@sliceengineering.com and just ask for me and they'll send it my way.
Yeah, they want you to make an
extruder. Not a bad idea.
Everybody wants Slice to make an extruder. See, there we go. That's the October special. Orange copper.
There you go. Glassy. There we go. That'd be awesome.
You better
and
make a
super
lot of
expensive.
replacement heat blocks.
Yes, yeah, it's
feel like
a
that's-
one time shot. If you break your hot block,
Everyone
no
needs to
more.
collab with LDO. Jason's such a good guy. You guys got in contact, didn't you, Jason?
Yeah, we did. We talked to Jason
Nice.
about some high temp motors for a couple projects we had.
Yeah, because he's got 100C motors.
Hmm.
Yeah, those are nice.
Yeah.
I don't have any, but I don't have any use for it now.
Right.
Where's can you test these? I mean, they probably run exactly like a regular motor.
Right. Yeah,
I'll
they
take,
do. They just
I'll just
survive to a higher temp.
I'll just be like, yep, still runs.
Yeah.
Got my heat gun on it, full blast, still runs.
Yeah,
Jason's
awesome.
dope.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah,
So,
that'd be. I actually would love to see an LDO. See, there we go. LDO collabs with Slice for an LDO blue mosquito. There needs to be more cool partnerships like that. You know, like you guys team up with Prusa for an orange mosquito.
That'd be fun.
They wouldn't do that, but
They
you
wouldn't
know,
do
another
that,
brand
but
that's orange.
another brand would.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah, but we're always happy to do collabs. There's a couple. You guys probably. I mean, obviously we're doing stuff with Bondtech all the time.
Yep.
Bondtech's
and
red. They're red. Yes.
Bondtech red mosquito. There we go.
That'd be kind of crazy.
Yeah, it would be
for the Prusa Mini. Yeah. So if we've had a lot of questions about the Prusa Mini, there are printable adapters for the Mini.
Upgrade. Prusa. And Mini's
Yeah,
coming soon,
so
right?
the Mini is currently coming soon. Yeah, so there will be a bundle on the Hodden configurator very soon, and there is a printable adapter on Thingiverse already that we haven't finished testing yet, so I can't like fully endorse it, but there's one.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, this one's all like fancy. So let's look at this, guys. Yep. There you go.
Yeah. That looks really good. Actually, I haven't seen that one.
Looks really nice. I like that he did the little engraving of the name.
Yeah, that's cool.
Ooh, look at that fan ducting fanciness.
That looks pretty good.
Yeah. Again, don't duct your 40mm fans. Just buy a smaller fan, kids. I don't get. Actual fans, you don't duct. Just throwing that out there for the world.
That's funny. Cool. All right. Well, I'm gonna have to roll because I need to mow my lawn.
You mow that lawn. And
yeah, man, I gotta mow the lawn.
Demo some more houses.
Yeah.
And make a Bondtech red and a Halloween orange. Not a hot ends. Limited run.
Yeah, that would be cool.
I already put the stamp of Chris approval on it, and technically I'm the same name as your other partner, so
it's true.
It's almost like he's saying it.
That's true. It's very close. Yeah.
You do in a wind tunnel. Yes. All right. So thanks again, Dan. So again, everyone. Again, they got the I don't know where I put the PTFE paint. I set it down somewhere. Oh yeah, put it right here so I wouldn't lose it. Your release agent for nozzles paint is a cool thing. Again, I'm testing. I don't have full results yet because I haven't been able to print as much as I wanted onto. It is cleaner. Everyone else that I know that's used it is like it's cleaner. So that's its purpose, to keep it clean.
That is its purpose. Yep.
Don't start cleaning it with this. That's just going to make it worse, kids. Don't. Take your brass bristle brush away. Damp towel, much better than or cotton swabs. You said do you dampen the
we'll damp it or dampen it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you make and then Copperhead is out. Bimetallic heat brakes are out. Bridgemaster nozzles coming in September on the website. Lifetime supply of boron nitride paste in every order.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. All right. And thank you again, Chad.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Chris.
Here. Anytime, man. It was good to have a chat, and it's good to not feel like I'm dying. So
yeah, I'm glad you're able to actually do the stream today.
Me too. I was actually worried, and then I woke up and I was like, okay, 100 is way better than 102.5. And it's been kind of hovering in that 99 range for a while.
Okay.
So
99 is doable.
Yeah, 99 is. Don't clean what with a don't clean your brass nozzle. Or don't clean any of your nozzles with a brass brush. That I know that's like the tech, but you got to imagine again. I think we talked about this earlier. Brass brush, brass bristles, hot scrubbing, microabrasions makes it easier for more shit to get stuck to it. So you are cleaning it, but you're also making it worse for the next time.
Yeah.
And definitely not on nozzles like the Vanadium or the Nozzle X. I think Nozzle X specifically says don't clean it with the brass bristle because it removes the coating
Right.
completely, which I've done on one Nozzle X. I've completely removed a coating on it. Easy to do to any nozzle. So again, brass bristle's bad. Damp cloth, damp
Cotton
Q-tip,
swabs. Yeah.
cotton swabs.
Those are good.
You know what? There's an option. There's a thing now to make a nozzle cleaning set, a like proper nozzle cleaning, like imagine a brush, but it has a cotton pad, like a or some kind of like a microfiber cleaning pad on it, so that way you're rubbing it with something that's not fully abrasive, like maybe it's a texture.
Right.
It's free. Yeah. You can use. Don't even have to put my name on it. All ideas.
Invented by Chris Warkocki.
Yeah, no, not invented. Spoken one time randomly on stream.
Right.
By Chris. So how? Awesome. I usually do it warm. So 180s, one between like 100, 180. Like while it's cooling down, I'll just take a damp cloth and just wipe the nozzle. I don't care anymore because it doesn't affect the print. I never get my nozzles that dirty to that I don't need to I need to actually sit there and scrub it. Now my hot ends with the carbon fiber material, there's no way to keep it clean. Like you print 20 kilograms of CF, you can clean it every day and it'll eventually just carbonize on there and you have caked on grossness. So, yep. 2.7.
Metric is better. Yeah, we do all of our design work. Everything's in metric. But yeah, I still think in Fahrenheit because United States. So
I do have a soldering station sponge. Could start using that for cleaning my nozzles.
Yeah, that would work.
Except for I think the sponge would start to go really bad really quickly. The towels, the cotton terry cloth can withstand the heat pretty well. The polyester is not so much. You definitely don't want to be at like 200 something C and taking a polyester cloth to it like I do sometimes. Design the brass sponge or sponge with see. All right.
There you go. All right.
Thank you again, Dan.
Thanks everybody.
We'll talk to you all soon.
Yeah.
Adios. Hitting the